to go! GNCC Racing!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to beautiful sunshiny Florida and to RacerTV.com for our continuing live broadcast here from the Wild Boar GNCC. It all kicks off Bike Week 2018, and of course here at the GNCC. Tomorrow we'll be heading over to Daytona International Speedway for Ricky Carmichael Amateur Supercross, and on Tuesday it's ATV Supercross. But right now it's going to be 3 hours of the most intense racing you're going to watch on TV today. And of course, let's get set to meet our starting lineup here today for this Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC. Rolling to the line first today, he rides aboard the number 1 machine. He hails from Boonville, North Carolina. Riding aboard an FMF KTM Factory Racing KTM, the 5-time GNCC champion, Caleb Russell. Rolling to the line second today, finishing only 1/2 second off the rear wheel of Caleb Russell 2 weeks ago. He rides aboard the number 989 from Williamstown, West Virginia, on a Rockstar Energy Factory Husqvarna Racing Husky, Bad Duval. Rolling to the line today, third in points. He rides aboard the 514 from Belton. One out of Cookeville, Tennessee, on a Beta USA Beta, Jordan Ashburn. Rolling to the line today, 10th in points aboard the 314 from Belton, South Carolina, on a Teely Energy Racing KTM, Grant Baylor. Up next, he rides aboard the number 410. He hails from Birdsboro, Washington. Riding aboard that 410 factory gas far machine, Andrew DeLong. Rolling to the line next, he rides aboard the number 17 from Fort River, New Jersey, on a Solid Performance KTM Fly Racing KTM, Jesse Grom. The 277 from Malika Hill, New Jersey, on an SRT Kinder O'Neill-backed Husqvarna, Wally Palmer. And from Canada, aboard the number 926 KTM Canada Thor, Parts Canada back KTM, Kevin Benoit. And that, ladies and gentlemen, your starting lineup for this Wild Boar GNCC. Well, folks, if you might see high above the starting line there, the RacerTV.com drone is flying through. Again, those are the only drones allowed here, but look at the shot on RacerTV.com that these folks are able to watch at home, and you yourself that are trackside going to want to go home and check that out yourself as well. But what a great day. Sunshine and nearly 80 degrees as we roll through this second round of racing, and the hottest time of the weekend is right now, and everyone is antsy to get going. 2 weeks ago, we saw one of the greatest four-way battles, literally to the very end, that we have seen in a long, long time on the two-wheel side of things. Can we repeat that kind of race that we saw only 2 weeks ago? And if we do, who will come out on top of that? Will there be new players? Can someone else step up? Or is Caleb Russell, Thad Duvall, Stu Baylor, and of course, the 739 of Trevor Bollinger, are they the unstoppable forces here in 2018? We'll know the tale of that by the end of 3 hours from now, my friends. Will they be the dominant factors in the sands of Florida? Riders have spent many, many months training and preparing for this particular race, traditionally the kickoff, and one of the most challenging races just from a standpoint of the roughness of this racetrack and how demanding the sands of Florida can be and how deep the sand can get as well. All of our attention now focusing up towards Ricky Tower as he gets set to set the stage. Our conductor of ceremonies and the maestro, if you will, is ready to let these folks know that we are ready to roll in 1 minute. 1 minute before GNCC Racing gets underway here for the final time at Wild Boar today and this weekend to kick off Bike Week 2018. Ricky Tower, he finds himself his place in that first turn. He readies himself. The hearts begin to pound. The eyes are widening. And Ricky Towery is about to let these folks know to shut them down, shut them down, shut them down, shut them down. We are now less than 30 seconds away from going racing here in Florida. And I got to ask you, Florida race fans, you've come a long way today. Are you ready to go GNCC racing? Wow, you guys are amped up, but I think you traveled a little farther than that, and you're a little more amped up than that. So I got to ask you, can we get these guys fired up? And I'm going to ask you one more time. Are you ready to go Wild Boar GNCC Racing? 10 seconds. And row number 1, the XC1 Pro, will be off and rolling here at the Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC. $250 up for grabs as they round the first turn. It's the 926 of Kevin Benoit from Canada. Josh String in second. Wow, and look like Stu Baylor opening up in the number 3 spot. XC2 250 Pro Class, Craig DeLong, Sam Evans, Nathan Thornhill, Pascal Ronschenegger, Austin Lee, Joseph Ferraro, Liam Draper, Joshua Tote, Brendan Riordan, Philip Cheney, Harrison Helmick, Mike Witkowski, Brian Dussault, Ryder Lafferty, Evan Smith, Anthony Federico, Ryder Heacock, also Tyler Brandon, Francis Olmane, Benjamin Kelly, Zach Nolan, Zach Hayes, Braxton McGee, Nick Davis, Trevor Barrett, also Jonathan Gore, Jonathan Johnson, and William Alejandro. 10 seconds. Round the first turn, $100 hole shot up for grabs in this one. Who's taking it home? It's the 198 Liam Draper out of New Zealand on the KR4 Husqvarna. FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am, Jesse Ansley, Cody Barnes, Ryan Slopko, Jacob Rowland, Alex Teagarden, Devin Welch, Jason Raines, Dustin Simpson, Colin Keegan, Colt Kensler, Matt Harrington, David Cullen, Tristan Landrum, Hunter Shelton, Tim Longenbach, and Chris Vendetti. 10 seconds. Wow. Boy, Tristan Landrum got a great jump off the line, but it's going to be the number 99 and your point leader in this class, Cody Barnes from Sterling, Illinois, on an MC Racing Kinder Tire Moose Racing Back machine. 258 class, Chase Hayes, Dakota DeVore, Blaine Kimmery, Matt Davis, Thomas Dexter, Owen Geis, Luke Ross, Jeremy Donlin, Caleb Cloyd, also Michael Pillar, Joseph Logan, Barry Fernandez, Nathan Rector, Jeremy Anthony, Brewer Cawley. 10 seconds. Jeff Lentz, Jason Key, Lane Duttlinger, JoJo Bowden, Julian Bachwinski, Noah Stewart, Simon Johnson, Reese Bruner, and Landon Bruner. .258 around that first turn now. Whoa, the 4-4-4. JoJo Bowden. Out of Lockport, New York, Coppersmith, Liat Motion. Moto Nation, I should say, sponsor drive. Four-stroke A lights class coming up next. Johnny Manera, Eli Childers, Christopher McManus, Blake Gibbs, Blake Grindstaff, Russell Smith, Bolton DeRoth, Brendan Poling, Adam Parker. 10 seconds. Riley Johnson, Brandon Keegan, Connor Keegan, Kevin Duplouse, Nathan Davis, Frederick Boyne, also Nick O'Brien and Braden Moore. .101. Open A bike coming up next. We got Connor Smith, Zach Tussle, Jaron Williams, Evan Earl, Cole Kirkhoff, Ethan Grieve, also Jeremy Lanthier, Corbin Patton, Fernando Davila, Trenton Boffman. 10 seconds. J.D. Tillman, Matt Curbin, Joseph Lewis, Maxwell Randolph, Justin Leonard, Joshua Lee, Ryan Quinn, Eric Geis, Cope Beckert, Bryce Coster, Logan Papul, Tanner Hughes, Levi Cagle, and Brock Cagle, all taking off with the Open A class. Whoa. 123. I didn't see the number on the helmet, so we go to 200A bike class now. Joe Marsh, Zachary Davidson, Michael Beeler, Dylan Zimpel, Alexander Lugal, Chase Colville, Tyler Centrino, Landon Lynn, Hunter Rich, and Ryder LeBlond. 10 seconds. .513, Ryder LeBlanc from New Florence, Pennsylvania, on an MXTire.com Bell Helmets EKS brand machine. Senior A 40-plus class, Shotgun Sean Remington, Frank Tussle, Gregory Richardson, William Lackey, Owen Terrell, Odin Da Silva, Chris Levin, Scott Buxton. 10 seconds. Joe Kessler, Craig Hole, Jeremy Dexter, Bob Bergman, Rick Burton, and Frank Messina. Junior AB coming up next. .589, Frank Messina from Campbell Hall, New York, taking the early lead in this one. As we go to the Junior AB 25-plus class, Mark Horesco, Andrew Boggs, Tyler Brunton, Steve Young, Dustin Ulrich, Nicholas Marty, Jake Hines, Brandon Marley, Devin Burks, Jesse Kidlow, and Sammy Doris in 10 seconds. Well, 064. Tyler Brunton from Troutman, North Carolina, taking the early lead there. Vet A, Sam Forrester, Louis Olin, Danny Hopkins, Galardis Melo, Christopher DeFrenz, Jose Correa, Graham Mettis, 10 seconds. Nathan Alring, Surly Amenico, William Sharp, Alan Linville, Nick Cafaso, Andrew Matusik, and Aaron Studer. The Bet A 30-plus class. 251. Galardis Melo out of Woburn, Massachusetts. 32-year-old rider taking the early lead in this one. As we go to the senior B class now, we've got Devin Ferguson, Phil Magaloff, William Hollenbeck, Joe Maurice, and Scott Matheny in 10 seconds. .732. We'll try to get a number on that. There's the 83 doing a great job, too, so we'll see how it all sorts out. Senior B class. 416. William Hollenbeck out of Kennerdell, Pennsylvania. Get the early lead. Four-stroke B lights. Garrett George, Benjamin Marty, Hayden Dillon, Grady Faint, Jeremy Haney. 10 seconds. Corey Schaefer, Gatlin Welburn, TJ Fine, Jake Easler, Garrett Robertson, and Billy Seglia. Saliga, maybe? Sorry about that. Saliga? Always butcher that one, but maybe he'll come up and tell me sometime. Right now we are looking at the 45 on his bike, and the 411, his GNCC racing number, is Grady Faint from Hoshkin, Georgia. 18-year-old pilot here in the four-stroke B lights class. 250B, Jake Borum, Ryan Floyd, or Boyd, Landon Ray, Philip DeGanis, Ian Flynn, Jack McMakin, Robert Whitlock. Less than 10 to go now. Benjamin Bluen, Brock Holloway, Zachary Sanders, Zach Eller, Ethan Cox, Alex Tweeton, and Dustin Stanley. I believe it's the 240 of Jake Borum early on. Yep. Got that KTM solid through those first few turns. 200B class, Sean Myers, Robert Hancock, Evan Walker, Justin Gibbs, Jacob Harmon, Jeffrey Snooper, Bailey Parker, and Colby Davis. 10 seconds. Wow. Just watching these machines. 607, Colby Davis from Berkshire, New York. Alias Steve Hatch and Max is back, 200B. Love the sounds of these two strokes out here all the time. Wes Morris in the Bet B class, along with Larry Hopper, Robert Jones, Brian Booth, Esteban Naveda. 10 seconds. David Espinoza, Gary Bissang, William O'Brien, Casey Moore, Ben Conaway, Ross Kennedy, Neil Hood, Justin Ramsey, Dustin Mathias, and Matt Modick, and Nicholas Nyman. What's the 911? It's the 435. That's the 911. Ben Conaway from Howard, Ohio on a Team Conaway Jacobs Moto Point View Cycleback machine. Bringing us to our final start of the weekend here with the Open B class. Matt Sorge, Jacob Kyler, Joshua Webb. 10 seconds. Jose Rodriguez, Ryan Kerr, Kevin Wilson, Matt Brufy, Dylan Ely, Thad Workman, Corey Burton, and Drew Norris. Final row of the weekend, off and rolling. Woo, actually 720, I believe is a 4 or something. Maybe the 912 of Drew Norris, but there you go, folks. That is it. That's the starts here in Florida. Nearly 250 riders traversing the sands of this Rodman plantation now. And, of course, with that, we've got 3 hours of great racing that lies ahead. Stick around. Can Caleb Russell make it 2 in a row? Will Thad Duvall be able to best them all? Or will someone else step up to the plate? Stick around. GNCC Live continues after this.
What is your passion? Hitting the perfect line, finding the perfect trail, routing the perfect adventure, or just living and breathing the moto life? Do you feel pride for a job well done after tackling a late night in the shop? Do you enjoy time spent with friends and family in the great outdoors? Spanning over 3 decades, one name has taken the lead for supplying the best powersport parts, accessories, and apparel to fuel your passion. One name that knows it goes beyond getting you the best prices, quickest shipping, or largest selection. One name that builds and innovates for our industry. One name that teaches, helps, and supports our fellow riders, racers, and organizations. We are Rocky Mountain ATV MC. We have transformed a team of moto enthusiasts into a powerful teaching team to ensure that you make the best purchasing decision with your hard-earned cash. We build communities with fellow riders to provide you with all you need to make a good decision. See customer photos, reviews, Q&As, and more while you're on our easy-to-use website. Need help fast? Live chat with our specialists, email, or drop us a line. Visit us today and experience the best in OEM and aftermarket parts, accessories, apparel, and industry-leading information. We offer lightning quick shipping, free on orders over $75, a huge inventory, free apparel exchanges both ways, and customer service that leaves all others behind. Experience one name that leads all others. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready.
I'm a sore loser.
I'm a sore loser. Losing is not an option for me.
Be the best.
The best?
The best.
You have to have the best equipment under the hood.
That's why I
only use
Cometic products in my engines.
Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket, a superior quality gasket
For those of us who demand the highest level of performance.
We handle your races, your jumps, and your trails. Isn't it time you give your daily driver the same love? AMSOIL Signature Series Synthetic Motor Oil delivers 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than required by a leading industry standard. AMSOIL also offers a full family of dirt bike lubricants, giving you above and beyond fortification for your weekday and weekend vehicles. AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
And welcome back to GNCC Live. I am Mikey Waynes, joined with Jason Thomas and Johnny G. Of course, Rodney Tomlin will be in the booth with us a little later, as well as Steve Hatch. My goodness, we've got the A-team here today, guys. That is what's going on. Well, hey, to set the stage for you, we have had a lot of racing action here today, and we want to give a big shout-out to our youth riders from this morning, as well as the AM race. So we're changing it up a little bit, but to kind of give you some highlights, in the youth class, Peyton Whipke took the big win today. Early on, it was a lot of Max Fernandez, and Peyton Whipke, just on a charge out there, was able to pull off his second win of the season. But to me, the big story out of this morning was Grant Davis out of that YXC2 class, ended up getting second on the podium. As we see, these guys are mile marker 6, Johnny.
Yeah, this is the FMF PowerPoint section here, and it's actually a little section for what seems to be just some, unassuming sand. It's really loose, and it runs along the edge of a body of water there. So they've actually had to reroute it several times already. again, because it was really starting to get deep. There we see Caleb Russell buried a little bit in the pack behind Jordan Ashburn, and these guys are working their way through. So actually, it looks now they're coming out of the FMF PowerPoint back into the Monster Mile. So that's a new segment for us this year, that Monster Mile. It's a mile plus of track. You can see those monster banners lining it. There we see Corey Buttrick taking a look over to see exactly who it is behind him on the number 121 KR4 Husqvarna. And joined in the booth by Jason Thomas, a Monster-sponsored rider, part of that Monster Energy team. And you know, Jason, how's it? Obviously not the ideal position for you to be here in the booth with us, but we're glad you're joining us today. And was it a little different out there at round one when you did get to get a little bit of time in, or at least even just checking out the course to see those big Monster logos out there?
Yeah, for sure. You know, it's cool that Monster have joined the series, and it's great to see. And yeah, to be a Monster rider and see that support as well is pretty cool. So it's all happening the same year, and it's a big step forward for the sport, I think.
Absolutely. And we see these guys working their way by. It was Stu Baylor, the number 514 Teely Energy Racing KTM out front. The 114 Rockstar Husqvarna of Josh Strang in second. And a little bit of gap here back to third. We'll see who these riders are. Now, these pine trees, there's a couple different ways they can go through here, and there's quite a few sections like this that they've gone back and they've dosed it somewhat flat before the day today. But, you know, yeah, there's a big gap there.
What happened there?
Oh, it looks like possibly Andrew DeLong, the 410 gas machine, working his way through that FRE FAR gas. Not sure who the 926 machine is, but that's Ricky Russell on the 212 Ampro Yamaha. And there we see that was Caleb Russell and another KTM rider as well working their way through. From that angle, it's kind of hard for us to see. There we go. Now we can see the 523 KR4 Husqvarna of Lane Michael. So that rounds out about pretty near our top 10 there, I'd say, as they work their way through. Again, Corey Buttrick coming through. And oh, look, there's your XC2 leader in the background there. He has already worked his way all the way up to and caught the back of the XC1 class. There he is, Josh Toth, hard on the gas. And Jason, that's kind of where you'd want to be early in the race if you were out there racing that guy, right?
Yeah, for sure. You know, he's had a great start, obviously, and he's already caught up to the back of them guys on the first lap there. So, yeah, I expect Josh to have a really good day from where he is right now, because from this point on, from experience, all he needs to do is just follow them guys for a little bit and pick them off one at a time, and before he knows, up there pretty close to the overall, you know. So, yeah, really good start for him.
So that was the number 17, I believe that was Jesse Grom there in just coming through. Now the 282 of Mike Witkowski, and I'm not actually certain, is Jesse Grom riding XC2 or XC1? That almost appeared to be a red plate.
Yeah, Jesse's riding XC1 this year.
So that would be Mike Witkowski would be our second place rider in that XC2 class. Now it's Grant Baylor coming through. The 314 machine all the way back. He's lost some time already, but as we're checking things out here through this Moose Racing Maxxis bannered section, you know, this is just one section of pines, but we've got some really diverse territory and terrain out here on this Wild Boar course, and we're going to check in and let you guys hear all just about how the course is.
Welcome to sunny Florida for the 4th annual Wild Boar GNCC. We're no stranger to this place. We've been here for, like I said, 4 years now, and we were actually here back in 03 and 04, a little further up the road.
Okay, so what we're looking at here is this is the course layout. You can see the mile markers. It's spread out all over this Rodman plantation. It's a huge piece of property here. I believe 10,000 acres or something like that is what I was told. Huge facility, and the course traverses all of it. It uses just about every inch of this place. We got the Monster Mile out there between mile 3 and 6. As we zoom in on that there, you can see that's where things really, the course runs back close to itself. We got the FMF PowerPoint in there as well. So we've got a lot of sponsors getting on board and adding interesting features to the course here. From the 6, it works its way back out, starts really picking up some speed after the 7, and then look there at that 8-mile marker to the finish, and that's where these guys are right now. Josh Strang out in this field. Jason, you know, we always run this, have for many years. this is a really fast section of the course, but it's interesting how it shapes up with the diversity, with it being tight, technical, palmettos, and then all of a sudden you're just out in some cow pastures.
And yeah, I mean, this section is really fast on TV here, but honestly, when you get into this section during the race, it's the only chance you get to kind of breathe and think about where you're at and get yourself together. So a little bit different than some of the other tracks where that's the spot that you want to kind of try and make ground up. This one here is the one where you want to just take a breather and think about what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. I mean, this track takes just so much out of you. So to try and come up and work your way, try and make a ground on somebody, you almost use this as an opportunity to kind of catch your breath and regroup for those gnarly sections, which are coming up real quick. Coming up real quick is these XC1 guys. They're shredding this Florida sand right now, getting these berms really built up, trying to get a flow going. And I tell you what, the leaders have really stretched things out. And one rider that I did not see, I'm sure he's in there, but we've kind of every time is the 989 of Thad Duvall, so I'm not sure where he's fallen in. If you're a Thad Duvall fan at home, please don't panic. We know he is in there somewhere, or at least we believe he is, but he's not shown up on camera. There might be a situation where these guys are kind of, as they shuffle their way through, they camera angles sometimes with the sunlight and the way things are, it's tough to get it all on screen, but as we're waiting and we're watching, we did see our leader of our XC2 class come by, but as we pointed out, we've already had a lot of racing action going on this morning with that youth race, and then also we had our morning amateur race as well, and Mikey Waynes has got a little bit of an update on exactly how that went as some of our other XC1 riders worked their way through. Mikey, tell us a little bit about that morning race out there this morning.
Well, all I had was a perspective from the finish line. Johnny, your perspective might have been better than mine. You're out there in the trenches helping out Becca Sheets, but Taylor Jones taking her second win on the year. Round number one was just a back and forth between her and Becca. Round number two, man, it was all the Rockstar Energy Husqvarna of Taylor Jones taking a big win there today. But I wanted to give a special shout out to one of the Sportsman A riders. We're actually, I don't think these guys know. In the past, we hadn't podiumed the Sportsman A guys, and this year we are. So if you guys are listening, spread the word on that, because you guys have the ability to get up there on the podium. And Nicholas Hunter, you're the guy I'm talking about. Nicholas Hunter worked into the top three on the podium there. But yeah, WXC, always fun. Johnny, what was your perspective out there this morning on that race?
Yeah, there was a lot of riders out there. It was a pretty big turnout. The track was really starting to get rough. The lappers were really thick, and the track turned out to be a lot more technical than I thought in some of the mud hole sections. They cut out the worst one, but it was still a lot of passing going on out there in some gnarly sections, and like you said, some good battling, a lot of good things going on out there in that morning race and our youth race. And now we're here to this afternoon race, and the big dogs are out there letting the big boys eat. So it's really starting to shape up. I think it's going to be a great day of racing with the way things are. And I mean, look at how picturesque that is. I mean, we've just got the green grass contrasting against that Florida sand. And folks, if you're at home and you're watching this and you've heard over the years how rough the Florida track is, and you're looking at this and saying, man, this just kind of looks easy, don't worry. We're going to take you to the woods. We're going to show you what the real Florida racing is all about. You're going to see whoops. You're going to see palmettos. And if you don't know what a palmetto is, if you're not from Florida, just imagine the angriest plant you've ever seen that wants to eat you and your dirt bike. That is exactly what a palmetto is, and there's plenty of them here. We see, look at this awesome shot. We've got, it's a drone footage of these guys working their way through. This will be working their way up to the VP Fuels Pro Row. We're joined by celebrity announcer Jason Wygant today. Oh. Well, no, we've got celebrity racer JT, UK JT, and there is Stu Baylor. That is who we're seeing on screen. So this is pretty awesome drone footage here. They're following it along, and we're seeing Stu, who's really starting to stretch it out here. So last year, Stu came out, struck first at round one, and got that big win. We didn't quite see the same intensity out of Stu 2 weeks ago. Obviously on the podium, was up there battling for the win throughout the race, but never really looked in that commanding position like he was in control. Well, I tell you what, folks, today, Stu Baylor looks like he is in charge. He's the boss, and he's laying down the law right now. He's out front starting to pull away, and, things, we'll see how it shapes up. A lot of racing left, but, man, he looks strong early, guys.
Yeah, he looks really good. I wouldn't say Stu is one of the best starters, but if he gets a start like that, like he has today, and starts stretching it like that, it's going to be hard to reel him in. I don't. The first round he got the third there, and I wouldn't say that was his best ride by any means. I expected more out of him, especially after winning last year. But for him to come out here at round two, this is this is what I expected to see at round 1, honestly. And they're going to. I know he's put a lot of work in over the off season. He's really gelling well with that motorcycle again, and yeah, he's back to the old Stu Baylor. You know, when the same as he was in XC2. Really, he's confident and he's healthy, and he's going to be tough to beat for sure.
Oh, look at this, and I agree with you there, Jason. I mean, he's definitely looking good. He's in that commanding lead. But what we see right now is the two guys who we know are just gnarly fast right now have hooked up, and they are wheel to wheel, and that is Thad Duvall and Caleb Russell. Those guys are going to be coming here into VP Fuels Pro Row. They've worked their way into the top 5. Josh Strang now buying the 2nd place position. But in those trees underneath that drone was following, that was the number 1 FMF KTM of Caleb Russell and the 989 Rockstar Racing Husqvarna. So bad news for the competition. There is Ricky Russell in the 3rd place spot. Caleb Russell reaching up, doing something on top of his helmet there. And just behind him, that was the 989 Rockstar Racing. Oh, and here comes Ricky Russell. These guys, it's getting dusty. Hard to see who these guys are, but a pro like Jason Wigan can call these guys out. Who do you see?
Oh, you're throwing me the biggest curveball that we have. Baylor. There we go. Yeah, I got it. No dust up front, bros. I cannot believe we had that live drone.
Yeah,
that was unreal.
Pretty cool.
You guys have been racing this for basically your whole lives, racing these types of races. That is like the dream, to be able to show everybody exactly what it's like, not for a section here, but stringing all those sections together. That was amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's cool technology, and you know, Racer Productions and Racer TV always stepping up the game, always bringing the A game, and yet another feature they're bringing to the folks at home watching this, and making you feel like not only are you a part of the action, but now you are above the action.
It's going to be really interesting here, as you can see those leaders have got a nice gap, but you mentioned the guys that are battling behind them, and Ricky Russell also no slouch either. Do you think we're going to see this all kind of accordion and end up all running together?
Yeah, I mean, them guys have a. Them guys, I mean, it's kind of surprising right now how big the gap is.
I agree. Yeah.
I don't really know what's happened back in the woods there, but they have a really good gap. And the thing is, Stu is riding really strong, and yeah, Strang's right behind him, and Strang is he's in the best shape of anyone out there, I would say. You know, Josh is in really good shape, and he usually struggles at the beginning part of the race. If he's in traffic, especially, he pumps up, and he seems to not really like to be in that traffic so much. So for him to be riding by himself early in the race and have a gap on them guys, it's going to be interesting for sure.
Yeah, Josh Strang, a rider that you know, when he's comfortable, he's oftentimes you know, really right up there at the top of his game, and even untouchable at points. He didn't quite seem to have that level of comfort at round 1. Obviously riding well. I think he ended up 5th at round 1. So not a bad ride for him, but definitely not what we know Josh is capable of for sure. Yeah. He's a podium rider capable of winning races and already has a championship under his belt in the GNCC series in 2011. So he's definitely got the resume. He's definitely got the skills, and like you said, he's fit. So him being up there off the start, that could mean bad things for the competition. But Stu Baylor, the man turning heads right now.
Yeah, you see Josh Toth, though, getting closer and closer every time we see him. Yeah. This could become a real X factor.
Yeah. He's also in really good shape. You know, I know he's been working with Charlie Mullins over the off-season, and that's their new trainer there. So, yeah, he's in great shape, and he's going to be good in the sand. I know from years past he's been good in the sand, and Witowski's right there as well. You know, he's moving up, and they also have a big gap on the rest of the field in XC2. So that's good to see. I think that I expect Toast to get a ways up there in the overall for sure today.
I want to ask you about the strategy. You've raced XC2 for many years, and again, was supposed to be back this year. By the way, can we give you a nickname? Are you Dracula? You're unkillable. You're unkillable. Every year, I think it's over. Yeah. It's going to be his last year.
It's been over. It's been over like 3 times now, but I mean, I guess it's not over until it's really over.
You never heard the fat lady?
The fat lady never came, no.
Silver bullets or a stake through the heart is the only thing that's going to kill this guy.
Yeah.
But you raced XC2 and even won a title, so you're very experienced with that class.
Yeah.
We often see at the beginning of the races, those guys go all out, they catch the XC1, and you're like, man, if they keep this pace up, they could win the overall. Right, but then that last hour, it seems like the XC1 guys maybe play the cards a little closer to the vest and then leave it for that last hour.
Yeah.
Do you feel that happens?
I feel like what happens is exactly what's happening with Toth, where he's caught the back of XC1, and he has people to pace himself off of. He can relax a little bit more. He doesn't need to worry about what's going on behind him. Follow them guys through. You know, hopefully they take the bad lines and he's able to get the good lines. But honestly, there's certain tracks where that are easier to get to the front or catch XC1 from XC2. Florida's never really been one. It's a faster track. It's rougher. It's a lot harder to ride on that little bike. So for him to be up here this early at this kind of track is kind of surprising to me. But again, as the race comes, I mean, races past, we caught up to him all the way to the front even, and then, yeah, the last hour they kind of drop off. I think that the game has changed a little bit. I believe that these guys in XC2 are in really, really good shape.
Yep.
And if they get up early like that now, they're going to be able to stay with them. I think so. Like I said, years past when it was me and I caught up to them, sure, I got up there because I was able to pick them off and think about my race. But once it came to that last hour, I just wasn't in the same shape that these guys were, and they would drop me then.
So it's not just that those XC1 guys are waiting to drop the hammer. They're just in better shape.
Yeah, they're just in better shape, yeah. And like at the beginning, it's not that they're going any slower. It's just that XC2 rider is able to pick lines because of these other guys being in all the other lines. Yeah. So, yeah, now it's a more even playing field that these two guys, I mean, we haven't seen Ben Kelly. I think I saw him at the beginning there, and he was a ways back.
I did, and actually, I was just going to point that out. You know, we were talking, I think another factor that comes into play with XC2 is, you know, a lot of times they'll benefit from the XC1 guys getting kind of strung out. They're not in any real battles. When the XC2 guys come up through, especially in, you know, your case or another rider who was at that time dominant, you know, you kind of don't really have anybody within your class you're battling, so you're able to just ride your own race and flow. Whereas I think last race, why we maybe didn't see Kelly and Toth get quite as far up in that overall, as they were really consumed with each other. You know, they were never more than, I think, 12 seconds apart the entire race. Whereas today, you know, Josh Toth's already broken out to a pretty good lead. Witkowski in second, and I think Pascal Roniker is in third there. And Ben Kelly is buried way back, was outside the top 10 in XC2. So don't know if that was a bad start or something happened that first lap. But, you know, he's a rider based off his performance at the end of last season and obviously at the first round of 2018. We expect to see him up there battling for wins, and he's got a long road to hoe if he's going to catch up to Josh Toth today, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. You know, Pascal, he's come over from Europe. I know he did a cross-country style race last year in England in deep sand, so I know that he was in phenomenal shape at the end. Like, he just killed them guys at the end of the race. So, again, I expected him to be closer and even possibly beat them guys at the first round, but you know, coming from Europe myself, I know that the Big Buck has always been a very, very difficult track for a European rider to adapt to. It's definitely one that I've never had great success at. I've always struggled there for whatever reason, whereas sand is something we're much more familiar with, and Pascal's going to be, he's going to be strong here towards the end if he can close that gap up, you know. But like you said, Josh has such a good lead on him right now, and he's not under, and he's already into them XC1 guys. He's going to be tough to catch for sure, and he's not going to drop off the pace because he's not in shape, because he is in shape. So yeah, it's going to need something a little bit more than that.
Well, you know, you mentioned Pascal Roniker and exactly how his race shaped up 2 weeks ago in South Carolina, but the reality of it is, you know, we expected great things from him. He performed great. He was on the podium. Yeah. But I think he was kind of the big surprise falling off there. Like you said, I mean, it was those three. They were wheel to wheel to wheel. It was a battle, and all of a sudden it was like Roniker was 10 seconds back. He was 30 seconds back. He was, you know, and just continued to fall off that pace. So we'll see if today he can redeem himself. Obviously, a podium at round one is a great place to be. Leaves you right there where you need to be for the championship. But, you know, if he's going to really establish himself as the rider to beat, or one of the riders to beat, he needs to do that today. We'll be back with more action. Racer TV here from the Wild Boar GNCC in Palatka, Florida, right after a word from our sponsors.
Welcome to sunny Florida for the...
What is your passion? Hitting the perfect line? Finding the perfect trail? Routing the perfect adventure? Or just living and breathing the moto life? Do you feel pride for a job well done after tackling a late night in the shop? Do you enjoy time spent with friends and family in the great outdoors? Spanning over 3 decades, one name has taken the lead for supplying the best powersport parts, accessories, and apparel to fuel your passion. One name that knows it goes beyond getting you the best prices, quickest shipping, or largest selection. One name that builds and innovates for our industry. One name that teaches, helps, and supports our fellow riders, racers, and organizations. We are Rocky Mountain ATV MC. We have transformed a team of moto enthusiasts into a powerful teaching team to ensure that you make the best purchasing decision with your hard-earned cash. We build communities with fellow riders to provide you with all you need to make a good decision. See customer photos, reviews, Q&As, and more while you're on our easy-to-use website. Need help fast? Live chat with our specialists, email, or drop us a line. Visit us today and experience the best in OEM and aftermarket parts, accessories, apparel, and industry-leading information. We offer lightning quick shipping, free on orders over $75, a huge inventory, free apparel exchanges both ways, and customer service that leaves all others behind. Experience one name that leads all others. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready.
I'm a sore loser.
I'm a sore loser. Losing is not an option for me.
Be the best.
The best? The best.
You have to have the best equipment under the hood.
That's why I
only use
Cometic products in my engines.
Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket, a superior quality gasket
For those of us who demand the highest level of performance.
We handle your races, your jumps, and your trails. Isn't it time you give your daily driver the same love? AMSOIL's Signature Series Synthetic Motor Oil delivers 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than required by a leading industry standard. AMSOIL also offers a full family of dirt bike lubricants, giving you above and beyond fortification for your weekday and weekend vehicles. AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
And we're back here at the Wild Boar GNCC. This is our little mud hole section coming into the finish, and there's been a lot of drama through this section over the years. Last year, Lane Michael went ahead and absolutely just swamped himself here, so we'll be seeing these guys come through in a minute. But right now, I believe we've got Rodney Tomlin with an interview in the pits here, and we'll see if we can get a word with Rodney.
All right, thanks a lot, Johnny and guys. Great racing going on, and I tell you, the Bike Week, we're just kind of kicking it off over here in Palatka right now, but honestly, last night Supercross, coming up tomorrow, we got Ricky Carmichael Supercross, we got ATV Supercross on Tuesday. It's going to be a week full of racing, and joining me right now is Director of Competition. We're talking with Roy Jansen from MX Sports, and there's a lot of big things going on with Bike Week, and one of those is Women in Racing Conference that you guys got going tomorrow.
It is, yes. Now, you would think, what are a couple of guys doing talking about Women in Racing Conference, and that's because all the women are actually working while we're here gabbing on Pro Row. It is. It's Women in Racing Conference, hosted by our boss, Carrie Coombs-Russell. It's at Daytona International Speedway tomorrow, March 12th, 10 to 2. And it's a gathering of women athletes, women from GNCC, from WMX, from our Loretta Lynn's program, and women executives. You know, this is a business that's run by women. We work with Rita Coombs and Carrie Coombs, and whether it's Jill Robinson or Amy Ritchie, and you go down the list of, you know, and one of Maggie McNally, chairman of the AMA's board of directors, Stacy Melanson, chief financial officer from AMA Pro Racing. All these women are gathering together tomorrow at Daytona to kind of talk about the role that women play in racing, the involvement of women in the sport of motorbike racing, and with the hope to find ways that we can help to understand better what are the things that attract the women audience, and how can we increase the involvement of women in the sport of racing. And so it's a real learning experience, and it's a gathering of those important women that do run this business. And so we're looking forward to it. It's open to all the women who are involved in the sport of motorcycle racing, and they hope to be able to explore the opportunities that are there, and to then kind of look to ways in which to expand women's role in this marketplace.
Now, is this something new? Has this been done before? Is this something brand new you guys are doing?
It is. It's a first-time thing, and you know, that we've always known the reality of the important role that women have played in the management and the business side of the sport that we love, and we know, and as you know, as you know, our voice to the world of our WMX program and women here at GNCC, what an important part they play. And you look at Loretta Lynn's and the women's classes at Loretta Lynn's and the legacy that we have with WMX of women professional riders. And so it really is kind of an effort to take an inventory of what's the state of women in the sport and how can we do a better job to be more attractive.
Well, you're selling me, man. I know that if I know there's a lot of people that want to be over there or want to have some involvement in some way, shape, or form. How can they do it, if not now, later on? But at least right now, if you're in the area and you want to be a part of it, how can you do that?
Yeah, they can contact us if they're here and get a hold of our management here, and we can make arrangements. And there'll be a report that will come out afterwards to kind of summarize the work that they do and to get an idea of what the next step is. And to really, it's more of a beginning point to reassess the role and the potential to increase. You know, this is a wonderful sport, and we look at the involvement of you know, the girls from our girls class and the amateurs ATVs yesterday, and our girls classes today, and our women's classes, and we know that there's a passion among those young women that's as strong as the passion of any of our male athletes. And so it's kind of, you know, how do we do a better job of conveying this message?
No doubt, and I think it's a great idea, and knowing the amount of women that we have racing, we had 3 women's classes alone today on two-wheel motorcycles. We got ATV women's classes, girls classes, it's all here, and it's a growing sport. Be a part of it, and that's the Women in Racing Conference coming up tomorrow. Roy, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thanks, Rodney and Roy. So that's going on tomorrow at the Speedway. Obviously, that's the whole Women in Racing is a catalyst from some dominant female athletes here in GNCC that have been beating hundreds and in some cases over 1,000 men for the overalls. And this is what came out of it. So a lot of action going on tomorrow at the Speedway, but we've got action obviously going on here. As we were away, we split to just a moment there. This is Josh Toth coming in at the backside of the FMF PowerPoint. He gets crossed up there, and look at that. That's a pretty aggressive fall. So he was on that mission. We talked about how he's working his way up through, getting tangled up and trying to intertwine himself in that XC1 class, and as a result, pushing just a little bit too hard and ended up on his face there, guys.
Yeah, and this section here actually on TV, that section there is brutal. Every year we've been here, I've really, really struggled in there, and it looks slow-paced. There's Strand coming through there now, and they're going slow because it's so technical and hard to keep the bike upright in there, and yeah, if you bury it, it's for some reason it just feels super heavy to pull it out at the side. You can see there with Toth, he's pulling her out and straightening things out, and he's going again. So
I was back there checking that section out the last couple of years, but what makes it so difficult? Is it not the obstacles, but the sand?
The sand is like, it's like wet, deep sand. It's a different feel to the rest of the track. Everything else is kind of like sugary, powdery sand, and then you get to there and it's got all that moisture in it, and it's kind of almost like sticks the bike in there when you come in there. So it's all you can do to just, and it gets super deep ruts. You can't see in the bottom of there, but because that berm's there, but that gets super deep ruts with water in them, and it really it becomes challenging as the race goes on in there. It really is some lines that you can get stuck in there for sure.
They actually had to reroute that twice during the race yesterday because it was getting so bad it was impassable. So yeah, definitely it was kind of an unassuming looking section, but it is anything but. It's pretty gnarly through there. And I tell you what, folks, if you were watching on screen, we just saw 2 riders come through that are on a mission, and they have made up just absolute gobs of time on Josh Strang for that 2nd place spot, and that is the 3rd place ride of the #1 FMF KTM of Caleb Russell, and the 4th place, the 989 Rockstar Racing Husqvarna of Thad Duvall. Those guys are on a mission, and they have chipped away what seemed to be well over a minute gap down to mere seconds to Josh Strang. Now, we do not know exactly where Stu Baylor's at. We did not see him on screen, so he could still be long gone and minutes out front, or he could have been just in front of Strang there. So this is really going to get exciting here in the coming laps, because you know Stu Baylor's getting pit boards that say, hey, the guys that you don't want to have hook up have just hooked up, so you need to go.
There goes Toth by, picking himself up after that crash.
Yeah, and he really hasn't lost that much time on him. Actually, he's still right there, and he's going to catch up to the back of him here pretty soon. And I saw the XC3 guys were going in the other direction. There was Cody Barnes up front in there, looked like. So yeah, that's where that track crosses right there. So they're not that close to them, but yeah, it's good to see them guys get them guys rolling as well.
Yeah, you know, those guys obviously out there. That was your class last year. You got that championship in first-year class, first-year champion. And oh, look who's here, Ben Kelly. We counted him out. He was outside the top 10, and we might have missed possibly.
I think he's set.
Kowski, or is he already up to second? We'll get a for sure check in at live scoring there when he works his way through. But we think he may be the second XC2 rider to work his way through, which means he has come from the depths of despair outside the top 10 up to second place already, and he is on a mission wanting to get up there. And there is Craig DeLong, the number 8 Coastal Racing Husqvarna rider. Looks like he might be in the 3rd place spot, but these are definitely XC2 guys working their way through, and you can see
struggling.
Yeah, we saw it was both Duvall and Caleb Russell hopped over that log. Craig DeLong took one look at it and said, "No, man, that's not for me. I'm going this way." There's Witkowski, so that I believe that was the top 3 in XC2. So it's Josh Toth leading the way, Ben Kelly 2nd, and Craig DeLong in 3rd. There is Pascal Rocknicker. You can say his name however you want. He doesn't seem to mind, but he also doesn't seem to mind the sand. He's working his way through in the 5th place spot right now, trying to reel in the 282 beta of Mike Witkowski, and he's got to get to work if he wants to get back up there, because he was long ahead of Ben Kelly just a few miles ago, and now Kelly probably well over a minute ahead of him there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's passed him and put time on him. Yeah, for sure. I don't know. Maybe Pascal's struggling. I know from my own experience, especially at this track with them mud holes and all them lines that are back there in the woods that we don't see right now. But this track back in the woods where you can't see it is brutal, and it gets so wide and so many lines. It would just be something that Pascal isn't used to. It's going to be a different situation for him. And I know last year he came over and he won Ironman, and Ironman was my first round as well when I first came to America. And Ironman's kind of a different story, especially if it's a dry Ironman. It's very similar to Europe. The dirt is very, very good. You don't get the hard packed polish feel of Ironman. So yeah, a little bit different. It's definitely the lines that he's going to struggle with, and possibly that's why he's dropped some time here today.
Back up front.
Stu Baylor rolling.
Stu Baylor's still rolling, man.
Yeah.
He looks good. We haven't really seen him in any of the technical stuff yet, but everything we've seen in these field sections, he is wide open and going. Now, is he using less energy or more energy than the guys who are trying to catch him? Is he able to conserve, or is the fact that he's trying to burn laps and get away right now, is it actually going to harm him more at the end of the race?
I think he's using less energy because he has that lead, he has that breathing room.
Okay.
He's not tense and nervous. He's not going to get that arm pump, and all them things are things that take energy, you know. So he doesn't have that right now. He's just focusing on his own race. He's looking around to see where they are, and he's going to see that they're not there. At some point, if they catch up, and he's looking back like that, and he sees them, that's when he's going to go into that mode of panicking almost, and he's going to start using a lot of energy, breathing heavier, and that's when he could get in trouble. But at the moment, he's still stretching it over Strang, so he's looking good, really good.
I'll tell you what really surprises me is these guys on lap 2 already in lappers.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. Like, we did not expect to see that. We've got some back markers working their way through. Those guys are in their own race, but at the same time, these guys getting lapped already, so it's going to make it a little bit tougher for these guys catching lappers this early. Now, here is the 3rd place rider of Thad Duvall, who's gotten around Caleb Russell. It was Russell and Duvall. Now it's Duvall and Russell. And I tell you what, you might as well just go ahead and throw a bungee cord between these two, because it seems like all last year, until Thad Duvall's injury at 6 days, and at the beginning of this season, this is just the way it's been. These two just nose to tail, wheel to wheel, just good old buddies that used to ride bicycles together, and now they're out there just throttle cable stretched, just hauling the mail.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see if anyone can stick with them. They had Ricky Russell with them for a while. We saw Bollinger kind of hanging out in that spot, but it looks like they're trying to make a breakaway. And yeah, there's Russell right there. So they pulled away just a little bit. So Thad Duvall, as you mentioned, he and Caleb were close once again at the opener a couple weeks ago there in South Carolina. They were close at this race a year ago. We had a chance to talk to Thad earlier about his chances today here at the Wild Boar.
The same game plan every race is to go out and win for sure, and you know, Caleb just put a dampening in that at the first race. So, you know, it's crazy. I know how hard I've worked on the off season, and you know, you see stuff on Instagram and you see videos of everybody else working hard, and you know, you never know where you're going to be the first race, and for it to come down to the last race or the last lap and all the way down to the finish, it's a sigh of relief that you know you've put in the work. And you know, I felt like I was a little stronger at the end than him, but he was just he didn't fold. So I felt like I had the speed to win. I just I didn't put it together, and I feel like at the beginning of the race, I knew I could win, and I put myself in the contention and be out front. I just lost a little concentration in the middle of the race and kind of fell back a little bit and had to work up to get back up. But, we got in the lead, and then Caleb passed us, and I knew it was on for sure. So, it wasn't from a lack of trying for sure. We went wheel to wheel, and, it's crazy because a lot of people don't see what goes on in the woods. So it's cool that, we can race clean and race all the way down to the finish like we did. And, I have a lot of respect for Caleb. He definitely knows how to put it together when somebody's pressuring him for sure.
So there you go, folks. Thad Duval with his thoughts on coming into this series, or this round number 2 here.
And we watched Stu Baylor. I absolutely love this live drone shot. I'll tell you what.
Isn't that great?
Man. Yeah, I very rarely have ever gotten to see racing from this angle. I don't know how this happened, but years ago we had a helicopter at the race in Georgia, and we got to watch Juha Salminen from up ahead. I don't know where this helicopter came from, or who paid for it, or who stole it, or who stuck a camera on the bottom of it. This is like before the days of GoPros and drones, so I don't know how that happened. Otherwise, this is pretty rare. And to see them roll through, and this section is nasty, man.
Oh, yeah, a ton of lines through here, and it's, obviously with all that standing water, it's deceiving because they're going through where it's shallow, but you go just a foot or half a foot just off that line that they're on there, and it is deep. You're going in above your neck, So that's something that changes throughout the course of the race, because obviously everyone's using that one line right now, and over the course of the 3 hours, that one line also deteriorates, and that's when these guys start to struggle and start to get stuck. And it's happened in the past in Florida where the leaders there have got stuck towards the end of the race, and that brings everyone back together. And it's not just the section that we can see here. Back in the woods there, like I said, there's some big holes there, and you don't have the spectators there to point the good lines. So it really, back in the woods, you're all alone by yourself, and if you bury it, then it's going to use a lot of energy to get you out of there.
And the versatility of these guys is impressive. I think when people think of GNCC, they think of it as woods racing and fighting through the trees, but it is high-speed stuff right here. This looks like you're watching a desert race.
Yeah.
Watching them through this section. So are we getting an idea of the gaps here from Strang in second on back? Have we caught the Duval and Russell third, fourth, fifth yet? I don't know if we have.
We froze right now.
Yeah. So we're trying to see if they can close up. This is a real pivotal moment, I would feel, for Strang.
Yeah.
To see if he can hold those guys off. It's been a while since he's been able to really go toe-to-toe with them successfully, but so far, so good.
Yeah, the thing is with them guys as well, we were talking about them before, they've hooked up together, so they're rolling together, but they're also
Baylor
using
again.
a lot
Baylor
of energy.
looking down. Stu's looking down.
Waving his hand about something.
That didn't look good.
No.
When you're looking down at the bike and waving as you go past, but he went by.
Yeah.
The Tele Energy Racing team.
Sometimes we come through there and we wave our hands, and there is a problem, but we just wave our hands and we don't know what to do with our hands. It's that kind of
really?
It's just like
that effect.
There's a problem, but the best thing I want to do, especially with a lead like this, is stop and fix this problem. It's kind of what do I do? So Strang's looking down there. It looks like he's coming in for gas, maybe.
Great. So the team is totally confused now, saying he raised his hand, and we have no idea.
We have no clue.
No clue. All right, there's Strang in that Rockstar Energy Husqvarna pit.
Possibly Baylor was waving his hands because he needed gas and his pit crew weren't there, because Strang has gas, so Baylor didn't stop. So that could have been what it was.
So
and
the
these guys
Tele
are all
Energy
stopping.
team would be lined up before that. I think you're right.
And there was no one there.
There's no one there. Okay, so that could be something
That
to
could
watch
be a
out
big
for.
issue,
Wow,
especially
that
in
could
the
be
sand.
huge.
Yeah, because they're using a lot of gas here in the sand on these bikes, and for everyone else to be stopping and Stu not to have stopped is that's a little bit worrying right now.
And look at the gap is still there. Strang, they're not chopping much into it, so he could be in the prime position here if there's a problem with that pit stop situation for Baylor.
Yeah, to take over, And like I was saying, these guys are together and they're rolling along together, but they're using a lot of energy. When you're in that situation, because they're towards the back and they're trying to make ground on the leader, who's Stu right there, they don't want to let each other get in front of the other with the sand and getting roosted and just taking sand in the face all day. So they're covering each other's lines, and at the same time they're trying to make ground. So they're using a lot of energy for sure. Same thing we saw last week. They were together the whole race, but they were out front together the whole race. Now they're trying to make ground and catch up to these leaders.
Well, we'll consider that almost like a little handicap. We know that Duval and Caleb Russell have been the fastest two guys here over the last couple of years, but they've got this energy deficiency that Baylor and probably Strang aren't going to have to deal with.
Right.
So this could be all four of them battle into the end in this one.
Yeah.
For Stu, you'd rather just lead it all the way. but that's not going to be easy on this
coming,
track.
though.
Okay,
there we go.
And they flip-flop positions again.
They're going back and
they're
forth.
Coming. Yeah. I mean, these two guys, they grew up as kids, racing together as kids. That they know each other on the track. There's no aggressive riding going on between them. That they're going to be clean and smart about it. But like I said, at the same time, in certain situations, if one gets in front of the other, that raises the heart rate. That gets you breathing heavy and using a lot of energy. So, but at the moment, they're definitely catching up to Strang. So,
there's
Ricky Russell.
Hey, by the way, is Yamaha using the new generation YZF motocross bike, or are they still on the X model, which are based on the previous year? They're on the FX.
They're on that new FX model.
On the FX model. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the older style platform, but pretty well proven. He did win a race on it last year. So just wondering if they've got to work through a new generation of bikes this year. If that
no, they're on familiar bikes. It's the one he rode last year for sure. Yeah. There's Trevor Bollinger. Haven't seen him so far, but he's Trevor again. I mean, he struggles with getting good starts. It seems like, and he has great pace and his fitness is there. And now if he can catch up with Ricky, first of all he's got to overcome that, because that's going to again use a lot of energy to try and get past Ricky. But I'd expect Trevor to be strong here at the end of the race as well if he can catch up to there. And he's smart. He's not going to get stuck. He's a good mud rider, so he's good in the mud holes back there. So if he can get with Ricky, maybe they can get together and push each other a little bit further forward again.
I think that's kind of surprising to me to see Bollinger. I honestly expected him to come out swinging this round. In round number one, it was like a four-person or a four-rider battle between him, Stu, Thad, and Caleb.
That Lane Michael that just went by.
Lane Michael just went by, yeah.
Yeah, good to see him. And now we see Toth, leading that XC2 division.
Yeah.
So is Toth racing to catch those guys, or is he racing to stay ahead of the XC2 riders?
No, Toe's racing to catch them guys at this point, and it's not really so much there's not an urgency to catch them guys. He's just he's pretty much riding his own race, and at some point he'll catch up to the back of them. And when you do that, it's kind of almost a burst of energy. You know, you've caught them guys, and you can relax a little bit. Yeah. You're not really racing with them at that point. You're just it's just a confidence thing, and I've caught another one. I'm moving forward, and we've got him shown on the screen there as being in third overall right now, and I think he's physically fifth. Would he be? I think so.
We saw Russell, we saw Bollinger,
yeah,
and Lane Michael.
Yeah.
Well, how about this? Stu Baylor checks in, lap time 27:40.
There's
so
a drag on your screen. Go ahead.
Yep. A fast lap time for Stu. He is hard on that throttle, so if he is running out of gas, he's like, I got to get my butt back to those pits, get some fuel in this thing, and keep this lead.
And then we see Caleb Russell and Thad Duval, of course, just about as far apart as you're probably going to see them all day, like 4 bike lengths.
Yeah. This is this section right here before the finish. I was actually talking to Hunter Hart from the ATV side of things this morning, and he actually said he spoke with Caleb this morning. He said this right here, if we've got a tight race at the end of this one, keep your eye on this section. There's so many different lines for those guys to choose from. There's a lot of things could change up right there at the end.
Yeah, I heard that they walked that section in there. I was there this morning to watch the amateur race, but I heard Bollinger said to me that there's a section in there that you can pretty much bonsai clean across the middle of it if you're close at the end of the race.
I think some of the guys used that last year to make some passes, bonsaiing through there. All right, we're talking about Trevor Bollinger. We had a chance to catch up with him earlier today.
Yeah, last week went good. Like you said, we were all, me, Caleb, Stu, and Thad were all there together the whole race pretty much. And, you know, we were there for the lead battle, so that's you know, the positives from there. And, you know, I just want to do the same thing today, just try to be with the lead group and stay with them as long as I can.
And then last year you had a little bit of bad luck off the start. I know you dropped the chain, I believe it was, and ended up putting down some of the fastest lap times and coming back through the pack this year. So how does it feel knowing that you have that speed and having a fresh start this year and starting in the front row?
No, it feels good for sure. And, you know, it's just managing that speed and not trying to ride over your head here because you can get in trouble pretty quick. So just manage that and, you know, just try to be with the lead group and the last 2 laps really try to put it down and separate yourself.
So just a different demeanor with Trevor Bollinger this year. Just a year ago, you know what? He talked about it early on this season. He cut the hair. There's something about him. He's just got a swagger to him this year. I look to see him, before it's said and done, he's going to get on that podium, that XC1 podium.
Yeah, for sure. You know, Trevor's been training and riding at the spot that I used to ride at. It's a good friend of ours, Brian Costa, and he's been down here most of the winter. I think he came the day before New Year's even. So he really came down early and that kind of worried me, you know, when he told me he was coming down. You know, I'm like, you don't want to go down there too early and get completely burnt out on riding that stuff. But he's kept it together. He's been doing some fun stuff in between, and he came home and did some local rounds, and yeah, I mean, he's good in the clay for sure, and his ride the last round was you know what I expected from him, honestly. But I do expect you know, a good result in the sand for sure today because he's been riding it so much.
We've seen some XC2 riders, I think, coming through here through this section now, trying to keep up with it. Obviously, we know where Toth is. We've seen him because he's hooked up right with that XC1 pack. But we're trying to keep an eye on some of the other XC2 riders who are in there. Batowski was riding well. Oh, we got a rider down.
In that same spot, that sticky sand.
Man, yeah, so much trickier. Definite camera doesn't do it justice.
Another one
down. It's like riding through glue.
Yeah.
That's insane. So back to the XC2. Toth did check in there.
Yep.
He is now 2.42 seconds ahead of Ben Kelly. So Ben Kelly there checking in, trying to close that gap.
And Kelly's rolling, yeah.
Yes.
And he's a kid that's going to be good in the sand. I remember a couple of years back when I was winning XC2, this kid showed up at a rock race, and I went over to him after the race and you know, said, you know, you rode really good today, and I expect big things from him. And it's taken him a couple of years to get there, and he's on great equipment now and a good team, and yeah, he definitely, he's from up north, so he probably rides a lot of sand or has a lot of experience in the sand, and yeah, he's rolling for sure right now.
Wow, so a good challenge. Toth had that crash. Seemed like he recovered pretty well. It's just that Kelly has just continued that charge from way back in the XC2 pack, so that's going to be fun to watch, especially when they get into mix with that lead XC1 group and they're battling each other. This is our FMF PowerPoint. Is that what we're calling this section here?
Correct.
This
yes.
glue sand. We're just grabbing the front wheel of these riders and pulling them down. This is exactly where Toth went down a lap ago.
Yeah, and this the same. You know, everyone's riding the same line in there right now because it kind of it has a harder base when you're staying the same line everyone else on. You don't want to get out of it in there. But what that does is, because there's so much moisture in that section right there, you can see, you know, the pools of water either side. Because there's so much water in that section, the more they ride that one line, the moisture will come out and the rut will fill full of water, and then it will just go completely away on them.
Yeah, the sea level is the issue here. You can't dig down very deep before you're actually hitting water.
Yeah.
The water table is so high or the ground is so low, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, we've definitely seen some races here that shouldn't be mudders, that kind of take on the resemblance of a mud race. Right now, though, Stu Baylor handling it. Josh Strang holding his own in second. And then we wait that the three-pack behind him with Russell, Duval, and Russell. Can they close the gap?
You can hear them XC3 bikes coming through the pro pits as well right now. They're screaming. What we got leading there?
Okay, taking a look at that FMF XC3. Jason Raines, your leader now out in front. But real tight race. Your whole shot winner, Cody Barnes, is in second right now. He's got a 2.175 gap, so we'll call it 2 seconds flat.
Yeah.
And then Chris Vendetti back there in the third place position.
Yeah.
And
obviously Raines, he's a veteran rider.
Yeah.
He's older than me even, which is almost seems impossible now. But yeah,
I think Raines is pushing 40.
And he's in great shape. Like Raines is, he's a past champion. He knows how to win races for sure. He's in great shape, and these kids are. They're going to learn a lot from him right now if they just follow Jason Raines, honestly. So that race will be interesting to see how it works out.
It's going to be fun to see how it shapes up. Taking a look at some of the other classes we've got out there. The Senior A 40+, the 408 of Scott Buxton out of on the KTM is out in front. Rick Burton running second. Frank Tussle in third. Joe Kessler in fourth place. In fifth place, Frank Messina. So there's your top five out of the Senior A 40+. And then the Open B class, Jose Rodriguez out of Puerto Rico. Boy, the Puerto Rico crowd is in full force here this weekend. Jose Rodriguez, a shout out to you, my friend, leading the way in the Open B class. Matt Rufi is in second place. Dylan Ely in third. Thad Workman in fourth place. In fifth place is Matt Sorge. So there's your top five out of the Open B class. Taking a look at the 250Bs now. Jake Borum is out in front. Got a pretty good lead, 36-second lead over the 586 of Benjamin Blown. Ian Flynn in third place. Alex Sweeten in fourth. And fifth place, Jack McMakin. There's a fun name to say, McMakin. How about the 200Bs now? Sean Myers leading the way. Let me know if you guys see something on the screen you need to give a shout out to there. Looks like Strang moving through right now.
Yeah, Baylor already came through. He still has that huge lead right now, so Strang doesn't seem to be catching Baylor at all, and Baylor seems to be riding really smooth and confident right now, so that's doing good.
But it does look like we've got our leaders coming through there. So there's Thad. Now Thad's back out in front of Russell now.
Yeah.
Half a dozen position changes between those two. Keep on.
So the 200B, Sean Myers out in front, Colby Davis running second, Evan Walker is in third, Bailey Parker fourth, and your fifth place rider there, Justin Gibbs. And come on, there we go. Four-stroke B Lights, Gatlin Wellborn out in front, got a 1-minute lead on Grady Faint. Benjamin Marty is in third place. Jake Eisler, is in fourth with Hayden Dillon in the fifth place spot. And then we go on down to the Vet B 30 plus now. Casey Moore leading the way there with a huge lead, 2-minute lead over Nicholas Neiman. David Espinosa out of Miami, Florida. Florida rolling hard, man. David Espinosa in third. Dustin Matheson is in fourth, and William O'Brien is in fifth place. Out of the Senior B 40 plus now, Phil Megaloff is out in front. William Hollenbeck in second. Devin Ferguson in the third place spot. And Joe Maurice out in the fourth place spot. Another rider there, Phil Magaloff, also out of Florida, Lake Mary, Florida. So, again, Florida coming out in full force. Our XC2, we've been through that one. Let's take a look at a few other of these classes. Your Open A, Cole Kirkhoff leading the way there. A 1-minute lead over Connor Smith with Bryce Coster in third, Ryan Quinn in fourth place, and Joshua Lee in fifth. Your 250A class now, JoJo Bowden leading the way out of Lackport, New York on the KTM. With Brewer Cowley in second, Michael Tyler in third place. Fourth place is Chase Hayes, and fifth is the 330 of Luke Ross on the KTM. And your 200As now. Mike Beeler Jr. moving up to the PM race. He was a youth rider in the Super Mini Juniors last year. He's leading the way in these 200As with Ryder LeBlanc, another rider that has moved up. He's in second, Landon Lynn in third, Alexander Luger in fourth, and Zachary Davidson, the youth bike champion of 2017, back in the number 5 spot. So good to see those youngsters moving up into the afternoon race here. Your 4-stroke A lights, we've got Bolton Baroth out in front, Blake Grindstaff in second, Christopher McManus in third place, Johnny Manera in fourth, and fifth place, Connor Keegan. And what else have we got? Junior AB, the 25 plus, Nicholas Marty out in front, Brandon Marley in second, Mark Carrasco Jr. in third, Tyler Burton in fourth, and Jake Hines in the fifth place spot. And then, of course, jumped too soon. Last but not least, the Vet A. Come on, computer. There we go. Your Vet A class. Andrew Matusik is out in front out of Georgia, and out of Sanford, Florida, William Scharf is in second, Sam Forrester third. Fourth place is Nathan Ehlering, and Gilradis Milo is in fifth out of Florida. A lot of Spanish names in there in the mix. Puerto Ricans came out in full force here for the Florida round. And welcome to the GNCC Racing Nation. Thanks for joining us. Good to have you out here. So there's a rundown of each class. What have we missed?
So I saw that Kelly and Toth came through wheel to wheel. Them guys are close together, and it seemed like they maybe have dropped back a little bit from them XC1 guys, but once they get together here, maybe they'll start moving forward again.
Again, that seems to be the theme often. That first half of the race, we're almost there, hour and 10 in a 3-hour event. They close in, but then it starts to flip-flop in the other direction.
Yeah.
So we'll see if they can make any more damage. I'm really pumped to hear about an XC3 division. I know Jason Raines was on a podium there, I think third at Big Buck, and now leading. That's pretty impressive. It's kind of old school. Way back, this is going, I think 16 years ago now, he had his breakout here at this Florida race. He won the opener. It was his first win in GNCC, and it looked like he was going to win the title that year until he got hurt. So here you are back in Florida on a 2-stroke. I know it's half the displacement of what he was running back then, but pretty cool. So don't worry, you raced it last year, but he's even older, bro.
Yeah,
You're good.
yeah, he is. Yeah, it's good, but it's good to see him come out and do that and be out there with them kids. I feel like it's not so much for Jason, but for them kids to have someone in there with so much experience and talent. And like I said, if they just follow him around, they're gonna learn things, and that's what the the deal was last year with me being in there, and Jack Edmondson came over from England, and he was a younger rider, half my age, I think he was. At least.
There you go.
And
Okay.
yeah, we rode together, and it was good to see him improve.
There's Stu Baylor coming through. Let's see how he handles this FMF PowerPoint in the sand. I remember speaking to that when the XC2 class first started. Rodney Smith decided to race that class. He was leading the points halfway through the year.
Yeah.
People were not so pumped on that, and a young Thad Duvall was the guy trying to go after him for the title.
Yeah.
And Thad was saying, man, he's going pretty fast for me. Like, I've really got to hang it out to keep up with this guy, and he's 42 years old. So those old dogs know exactly what they're doing out there.
And I think the same thing back then when Rodney was riding that XC2 class. Obviously, Thad was trying to beat him, but Rodney was in phenomenal shape. Not so much that he had more speed than Thad, he was just in really, really good shape. So that's something that these riders have figured out over the years, myself included, to where we needed to train and we needed to all be the same kind of athlete. So that's why you see him catch him, and Josh Strang coming through there. Josh is riding good as well, like I said. He has that gap, he has that breathing room, he's not going to get tense. And he has the fitness to catch up. Here comes Thad.
And I think a little closer to Strang than last time around,
And it seems like Thad's actually pulling away from Caleb, so he doesn't have that that psychological thing going on where he's having to think about what Caleb's doing. He's definitely gapped Caleb.
Wow, where is Caleb Russell?
Yeah, a little bit of a mayday. Every time we saw one, we saw the other. This is the first time they've been apart so far today. Maybe we'll see Ricky Russell come through first. He would be the next in line. If Caleb Russell has an issue with that Ampro Yamaha up there, let's see how this turns out.
Did we miss him? Was he in
we
front?
Didn't miss him.
No?
I don't think so.
But here comes Stu again, so if they keep
now we'll get a shot.
And Stu's relaxed. Look how relaxed he is.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to be, he's confident, he's comfortable, he's not using a ton of energy. He's sitting down in places where I would be standing right now, which is worrying. So, and we still got to see him come in to get gas, I guess. So,
better lug that thing.
Yeah.
Run the low RPM and save gas.
Possibly that's what he's doing, because on them KTMs, there's actually a light there behind the bars. There's Caleb, I think. Behind the bars that lets you know that the fuel is low. So maybe he's got that light coming on.
That's Bollinger.
Bollinger.
So the Johnny Campbell Racing Honda rider, good job keeping it up on the pegs in this very tricky section. So it's getting all sorts of shaken up for the overall here today.
Yeah.
But
Here comes Ricky.
Okay, there comes Ricky Russell. So I don't know if Caleb came through in front of Bollinger and Ricky Russell or not. We just missed Caleb. Okay, so he did come through. So they're right behind Caleb Russell, Ricky Russell, and Trevor Bollinger. Bollinger's making moves here. Ricky Russell
like I
ahead of
said,
him.
Trevor's going to be in good shape.
Thad.
Here comes Thad.
Oh, so Caleb was in front of Thad is what we're learning now. So we did miss him on that one. I could have swore I saw a KTM, so that must have been Caleb Russell in front of Thad. Okay.
And I had a clock on that. That's about 1 minute behind where Baylor was, where Thad Duvall was. So he's about a minute back. If Caleb Russell's right in front of him, he's maybe 55 seconds or so back. So a lot of ground to make up. All right, so we missed, I don't know how we missed Caleb. We saw Strang. But apparently he's still there in the number 3 position. And then the next group should be Bollinger and
So
Ricky
now
Russell.
Stu's got to take gas on this lap. So them guys did that before. So that's why the gap might have been a little bit further. Now he's going to lose that little bit of advantage, 15 seconds or whatever.
Yeah, I was going to say, is there a general amount of time that takes?
It's pretty quick, unless his guys aren't there again. Which
oh man,
I wouldn't want to see that now, because I'm pretty sure it's more than his hand's going to come off the bar at that point.
Well, certain parts of the hand.
Here's Trevor Bollinger coming through, looking behind him.
Well, looking for Ricky Russell to be in hot pursuit on the Yamaha here. Not quite. He's actually pulled away a little bit from Ricky.
Yeah, so he's looking behind to see if Ricky's there, and he hasn't seen him. That'll give him a little bit of a, kind of settle his heart rate a little bit and get him to settle down, and then he can start charging forward again, hopefully.
Man, talking to you about this, it's amazing how much the racing impacts it, not just the riding. When you're in a battle, how much it affects your energy.
Yeah, for sure. It's a the psychological thing is a bigger part of it. In my opinion, I wouldn't say I was a rider that had awesome fitness. I just had a lot of I guess I was mentally stronger than these guys, and I was able to just use my head a little bit more and settle down in that situation, whereas they would get panicked and flustered, and that takes a lot of energy.
So we just saw Toth come by, and I think it was Lane Michael right behind him physically on the track. So Toth's still in the hunt overall. I believe we're standing by for Rodney with an update. Go ahead, Rodney.
Yeah, we're down here in the pits, and the update I got right now, this is Bike Week, man. We got all kinds of great folks coming out with us, and of course, this GNCC, like we always seem to have here in the sands of Florida, is champions from other series, and this guy right here is Elliott Key. He is the National Trials Champion. Elliott, welcome to GNCC. I understand you tried your first one this morning, man. How'd it go?
Actually, my first one was in South Carolina. Got second in the 250C schoolboy class, and this is my second one, and got fourth today, and hopefully we can do pretty good in the series.
Wow, so are we looking at a little crossover action going on here right now?
Oh yeah, lots of crossover. I mean, I ride a lot of trials. Been riding trials since I was 7 years old, and it really helps with clutch control, throttle control with these nasty routes and some of the nasty hills, and yeah.
Kind of taking a page out of the book from Taddy Blazusiak, maybe David Knight, and those guys, huh?
Oh yeah, I hope to be like Cody Webb or Taddy Blazusiak one day and just follow in their footsteps.
Well, man, we wish you good luck. 15 years old, welcome to the GNCC Racing Nation, my friend, and good luck in the trials competitions as well.
Thanks, Rodney.
Well, that's cool. Yeah,
we're seeing Caleb there. It looks like Caleb has closed that gap on Stu Baylor, and he's past Strang. Is that Strang?
That might be. I didn't see him either. That might have been the battle for second right there.
It looks like Strang.
Yeah, that looks like Strang style. Try to figure out which one of the Rockstar Husky riders it is.
Can't see.
I'm not sure. Yeah, because
there's
989.
Yeah,
yep.
so
There's the vault.
Caleb
There
is
you go.
rolling right now. He's caught Strang, and he's definitely caught up to Baylor a little bit as well. So, yeah, he's rolling pretty good now.
Okay, so what's the situation for Thad Duvall? He's losing a little bit of ground, and he's got a rider between him now. He's going to have to try to get Strang if he wants to get back to Caleb Russell.
Possibly Thad's had some kind of an issue there. It's hard to tell, but I mean, Thad is mentally strong. He knows how to manage his race. We're not even an hour and a half into this race yet, so there's still a lot of stuff that's going to happen. He's going to catch up to, or he can definitely see his teammate in Caleb still, so they're not out of sight. Now, if Caleb gets out of sight, what Thad's there going to do is he's going to start panicking because he can't see him anymore, so he has nothing to judge his speed off of. And at that point, he's got to get past his teammate, and then he's got to catch up. So, yeah, we'll see. But Caleb's rolling around, and the same thing. Once Caleb sees Stu, he's got that added incentive as well. And once he gets into that situation, then it could close up all the way around at that point.
That's what we're hoping for. A big battle there, which could definitely materialize. We'll just see, again, how much more energy was Stu Baylor able to save by just controlling the pace up front, not really having a battle, be able to deal with anyone. We've seen some XC2 riders back here deep in this FMF PowerPoint in the sand.
When Stu actually came through that field section while we were off there, he was waving his arm about again, almost like he had arm pump. I'm not sure why we'd have arm pump at an hour and 20 into a race. So unless he's crashed and hurt his arm, that's a little bit strange. There's Pascal coming through.
Okay, see if he can maintain that pace right now. He's dropping back a little bit each time we've seen him. Still relatively, as you mentioned, new to this GNCC game, and the first time we've seen him tested under these types of sandy conditions. But the guy's definitely got talent. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, for sure. And again, you know, he's come over from Europe. Yeah, he did come over and he won Ironman last year, but that was at the end of his season in Europe, so he was strong, he was in shape. This is a little bit different coming to America, and he's had to adapt. You know, I know the same thing when I came. He had to adapt to the food, the climate. Everything is so much different, whereas at the end of the year at Crawforsville, it's similar temperatures, similar weather to home. It's not that much of a change, so you're definitely coming to Florida. It's not a hot day in Florida, but it's hot for him, I can tell you that, and the humidity is definitely there.
So what you're saying is Indiana felt like home, because that's my home.
You like that.
I like that.
You like that.
Yeah, Indiana is the closest one to feeling like home, yeah, for sure.
And we're here in the FMF KTM pit. They appear to be ready. Would that be for Toth or Russell or both? Back to our drone shot. This is out back of the pro pit area, so they'll be into that section soon.
How about the GoPro shot there, though? That is, we've talked about it a few times. We kind of played with it a little bit yesterday with the UTV race, and we're obviously using it a lot today. I don't know. If I'm a sponsor, I'm saying, you know what? I want my name on that GoPro shot. Slap our sponsor's name on it. So any of you sponsors out there, just throwing it out there.
Well, they're going by Pro Row. That's also Vendors Row. So let's throw a shout out to some of the companies that are down there supporting the sport. This is really cool. The Amsoil Garage, which is new for 2018.
Very awesome.
I don't know why it took 40 years for someone to realize that this is something that needs to happen. I can tell you anytime I've come to one of these races, you've ridden with me, my bike's in horrible condition, and I don't know how to fix them at all.
Yeah.
He can vouch for that.
Yeah.
So the Amsoil Garage is awesome. We also, of course, have the KR4 Arrive and Ride program. If you have no idea, you don't even need to bring a motorcycle. They'll do that for you.
Hey, guys.
They're way off the bat. Go ahead, Rodney.
Hey, I hate to jump in here like this, but down in the FMF KTM pits right now, I just checked in to see what was going on. I know you guys had noted that there was maybe some issue with Caleb, and he was motioning to his pit crew. Well, I got the word. It is a broken shifter, so whenever he comes in next, they're going to try to get that shifter changed and get him back out there. He's still got an hour and 30 minutes to go, so there's still plenty of racing to go. He's still got a chance to win this one.
Super. I mean, the big thing with that KTM, they're going to change that shifter, and that sounds like it's a big deal. On that KTM, it's going to take them no time at all. That's an 8mm bolt. Zip it out, put the other one on. It's good to go. Now on other bikes, other manufacturers, it's a little bit more difficult to get to. So again, KTM really have that figured out on there. They're going to zip that thing out of there and get him going. I don't expect Caleb to lose a lot of time here doing this.
Well, if you don't have this crew, you can go to the Amsoil Garage.
That's perfect.
And they will
There
handle the shift lever problem. So what would he be dealing with? Do you think, is it a problem where he's going to be stuck in a gear too high or a gear too low? What would be the worst case scenario?
At the moment, he doesn't appear to be stuck in a gear that's making him struggle anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing it would be a higher gear because he's able to use the clutch.
Okay.
How much he's abused the clutch is questionable.
Right.
Bike isn't hot, isn't steaming, so it doesn't seem like he has used the clutch that much. See, in and out. Something was pouring out of the bike, though.
Sorry, coolant, I would think.
Possibly.
That really did not take much time at all.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I don't know what that would be because the coolant hose wouldn't run back there.
Oh, it doesn't go out the
No,
bottom
the thing
like
is, if they've gone over tightened that 8mm bolt where the shifter is there, possibly could have cracked the casing and spewed oil out of it.
Hey guys, honestly, still down here at the KTM pits, that was just a little XX fuel that they popped the top off in that tank, and some of it ran down. That's all that was, so no big issues there.
Yeah, and like I said, it took no time at all. 8mm out, back end, gone. They were gassing him at the same time, I presume, to save on a pit stop, and it took just as much time to gas him as it did to change that, so he lost no time. 18 seconds, it was done. So
it cost them virtually no time.
No time at all.
Yeah.
So he's not something that's going to fluster him, and he didn't lose any time with it being broken or whatever it was before that.
Now Strang looks like he has taken second place back over.
Yeah.
Because he did not stop, I suppose.
Yeah.
And you saw Stu Baylor. That gap wasn't as big, I don't think, as it has been at other points of this race. So don't count Strang out.
I'm guessing we haven't seen it, but I'm guessing that Stu took gas. I mean, I hope Stu
he
took
had
gas
to.
at this
I
point,
know.
so.
I know.
Yeah, that could be why the gap's closed up a little bit.
And there's Thad Duvall
there's
going by as
Duvall,
well.
Yeah.
So now, Weege, are we starting to see that accordion effect you were talking about now? Is that going to start taking place?
You know, I know the riders that are out there on the track hate lap traffic. I'm sure it's frustrated you, JT, many, many times. But I always say that is the pace car of off-road racing. You can work so hard to build up that lead, and it takes one time for a rider who doesn't realize it's about to be lapped. Then he starts figuring it out and makes it easier on the other guys. But it takes one of those lap riders to erase an hour and a half of hard work, and that might be what's happening here.
It really does, and this track is really it's really difficult for that to get in the back to behind a lapper right there. It's so whooped out and so rough that you want to try and stay on that main line, and once you start going out of that, if the lapper doesn't know you're there and you have to change your line, that'll cost you a lot of time because them guys behind you, they come through that section and they're on the race line, so you're kind of clearing it for them. Now what happens then is the lap rider obviously knows that the leaders are coming, so he's prepared for the guys after Stu. So he's not gonna hold them up quite as much. So that's when it starts to come into that situation. And yeah, it can go from a minute lead to a couple of seconds just because you got stuck behind that lapper.
What I've heard is tough at this race is this is so fatiguing, this track.
Yeah.
A lot of the amateur riders who are not able to ride and train for a living, they're so tired
the closing speed. You'll see them far away and think, I've got plenty of time to pick my spot, and 3 seconds later, you're on them.
You're on them, yeah.
Wow.
And you think, you know, you try and judge where you're going to be. You look down the track and see where you're going to be, where you're going to pass them. And like you said, you come up on them so fast that it's nowhere near where you thought it was going to be. Now all of a sudden it's a problem. It's between two trees, or it's a spot that you can't get around quite as easy.
Yeah.
And that holds you up. Again, heart rate goes up. You're mental. You're thinking about that. You start thinking about them guys behind you, and it causes just a chain reaction kind of deal. So Stu's experience, he's been around long enough, and he's experienced lappers, and you know he'll get it together. But it definitely looks like he's lost a little bit of time right now.
Hey, Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com is your one-stop shop for parts, apparel, and accessories. They've got the maximum selection, minimal pricing, and quick shipping. A lot of great companies that they stock. So if you're looking for anything, maybe that's the best place to go first, and they'd probably get your stuff in time to be ready for round 3 of this championship. They support this whole thing from anything, from motocross to this, UTVs, ATVs, even street bike stuff. So check out Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com. Here comes Josh Strang. Now, we did not see Stu Beller, but Stu Beller's okay. We just didn't get him on camera. But Strang is still rolling. A little breath of fresh air for him. The pit stop for Caleb Russell has put Strang in a second. He's a genuine threat today.
Here's Caleb.
Caleb didn't look very aggressive through here.
Sum it up with Caleb, the left-hand side of the bike.
Yeah, that was not right. Definitely off pace. Okay, so they're saying we're going to go 6 laps. It's lap 3. We're at the hour 27 mark, so it is halfway mark any way you want to slice it. But that was strange. That was not attack mode for Caleb. And we've got Thad checking in right in front of Caleb. So it's Stu, Strang, Thad, and Caleb. And I think we're going to go down to Rodney down in the pits.
Hey, guys, you know, I've been out and about, and I've been meeting and greeting with all kinds of folks. Like I said, Bike Week brings them out. Lil D from FMF is here with us, and want to welcome you out, man, and thank you again for being such a big part of GNCC. And glad to have you out here today, man.
Yeah, we love it, man. This is off-road racing at its finest, and try to make this event every year. And I'm actually going to go to round 4 at Steel Creek. I am cornered to race it. They told me I got to race, so Auntie from KTM's getting me a bike, so I'm getting ready. You know, I'm gearing up for it. But you know, we love off-road riding. We love this sport, and we're glad to be here.
Are you going to train for it?
I better start.
You better. Well, Lil D, it's good to have you, man. Enjoy Bike Week. I'm sure Supercross last night, GNCC today, it's a great way to start it.
It's awesome, man. This is a great week for us, and with Jordan Smith winning last night, and hopefully one of our guys winning today, it'll be put the icing on the cake.
There you go. Lil D from FMF.
I love the support those guys throw out for off-road racing. You know, the logo even says Southern California, and that is born and bred for FMF. They even make the pipes there. But they have really found a home here in the eastern U.S. supporting off-road racing big time, both 2-stroke and 4-stroke.
Yeah, now they have that FMF XC3 class as well, so they put awesome support into there. And
Toth just came through in XC2, but I don't know if would you say he's as close as he was earlier in this one?
No, I think them guys are dropping back a little bit for some reason. They're together though. They're right together. Ben Kelly's right behind him, so. You know, that shows in what they've been doing over the off-season. They've been riding and training together, and that, you know, makes sense that they're gonna
Kelly?
Yeah, they're riding and training together with Charlie. So I've seen videos of them guys all winter long, so they're gonna be in exactly the same shape. They're on exactly the same motorcycle. You know, I think that Ben probably is suited to the sand a little bit. He's a taller rider, which means back in the stuff that we can't see on the TV, which would be neck-high sand whoops. Ben would be faster through that section. You know, he has the longer legs for sure. So yeah, that's going to be interesting to see. He's going to use less energy over the course of the race. We're only just at an hour and 30, so he's with him now. He's made up the time. Now all he needs to do is get in front of him and start to stretch that out, hopefully.
Well, as they check through the finish line, it was Toth out in front, Ben Kelly behind him, only a 1.5 seconds difference is what they're telling us.
Yep.
Have we had any XC3 riders come through yet? Or are we still going to wait?
Yeah, what are them guys running the overall?
Your XC3, we're still waiting on them to check in for lap 3, so we won't really have a good idea yet until they do with the adjusted time.
Okay. And then overall, looks like Toth is now back to 5th. Where at
Correct.
one point we had him on 3rd on adjusted time. So they've definitely picked it up. The real question now is Caleb Russell. They had the pit stop. That was clean. And then the next time we saw him, he appeared to have another issue. So it's going to be interesting.
is that real, or is that just one shot and we saw him out of sorts and everything's okay? That could really tell the story of this race. But right now, it's all speculation. We think they might be able to get the Stu Baylor. We think they might accordion. We think these other guys might be in the running, but we have gone halfway through this event, and no one's been able to touch him. It has been Stu's day so far.
That's exactly right.
We talked to Stu earlier. I don't know if back then he realized how good a day this could be, but we did get his thoughts before they dropped the green flag.
You know, we got a back-to-pack start as usual, but you know, I guess this year I've been kind of practicing my sprint speed and pushing towards the front, and you know, I wouldn't say I made any friends getting to the front. Tried not to make too many enemies, but we got up there quick, and it was something that I've seen Caleb do a lot of times, and I knew that I had to. Saw Caleb go down, and I tried to capitalize on it and get up to the front, and we did. Led most of the race. You know, I think of the six laps, like I think most of the first 4.5, I was in the lead. You know, Thad and I went back and forth a good bit, but I think it was towards the end. It was poor race management on my behalf. You know, there was too many lappers to try the approach that I was using, and I just kept trying to sprint and push away, and we'd hit lappers, and I'd sprint and push away, and we'd hit lappers, and Caleb and Thad were kind of just taking their time and waiting until the last two, and you know, I knew that if I got a good gap that I could keep it, but I think I just blew myself out, and you know, the last couple laps, my head started pounding, I ride with my mouth open, so after my teeth were already gone, like, didn't hurt the first couple, but the last two, for some reason, just shooting pains, and I don't know, it's pretty miserable. Like, I wouldn't think that teeth would hurt like that, but it definitely, it was enough to take me out. But
oh, Stu Baylor, I don't know if you saw Weege last week. He got the 2 front teeth knocked out, caught a rock from Thad just within there, perfect. And you know what? I got to hand it to Stu because I posted a picture of him and I on Instagram, and I think it might be my most liked picture I've ever had. So, Stu, I'm sorry about your teeth, but thanks for the plug on Instagram, man.
He's got fresh chompers in there now.
He does,
He's looking good. That's probably cost a little bit of money. So he probably spent all the money he made last week on getting his teeth fixed.
It's a high standard to live up to. He's always had a teeth game. He's always had solid teeth
definitely,
game.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's good for Stu, and yeah. He's out front right now, rolling with them teeth. Maybe the reason he's going so fast is because he needs money to pay the bill. On
yeah, right. Yeah. He's particularly, he no longer has to pump blood.
That's true.
Teeth.
Right. Yeah.
He's got 0.001% less to worry about there. I mean, he's solid right now. I know we're only halfway through a sand race, and it's not oppressively hot today.
Right.
But these would be pretty gnarly conditions to ride in on this type of track. So
yeah,
we'll see the fitness where it's going to be for him down the stretch.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's pretty hot. It's pretty humid, especially for them guys back in there. This place in the woods back there, it's a lot slower than the stuff we're seeing on TV, and it's very. The woods are very thick back there. It's definitely one that's always. I mean, I've always been thankful that it wasn't any hotter here because it's brutal, you know. So there comes Stu coming through the pit there, and he looks like he's rolling again now, like he's charging. Maybe you can see them guys behind him.
Yeah.
See here in a minute.
Momentum, not a problem, man. He just cruised through that section. So we'll wait on the rest of the group.
When they checked in to the finish line, Stu had a 28-second lead on strength. We'll see if it's close to that or if these guys have been able to close the gap. There's Caleb Russell right there. Was that Thad right in front of him? Or, excuse me, Strang right in front of him.
Well, Caleb looked okay through this section. The struggle that we saw in the trees earlier, maybe that was just a one-shot deal.
Possibly just picked the bike back up back in that mud hole there. So, yeah. And it's funny, the teeth thing, I noticed I bumped into Strang here this morning as he was going to the line, and he actually has a mouth guard in so he doesn't lose his teeth. He's like, I'm not going to lose my teeth. So that's something new for Strang. I know I've experienced the losing there.
There we go. Oh, that is perfect.
Nice. Yeah.
Wow. Lloyd Christmas.
I've experienced that myself before. They get knocking your teeth out. So yeah, that's from Stu's Instagram right there. So yeah, he was pumped on losing them for a little bit until he got the bill. I'm sure.
That's right. That's right. Cap those.
Yeah.
Wow. Just when I thought you've run out of ideas, something like this, totally redeemed yourself. Wow. So a lot of different things happening and changing in here. We had that great run out of XC2 earlier in the race, but Toth really by himself trying to catch XC1. Now he's got his hands full with Ben Kelly
So that's really just a one-on-one battle for the class win. I don't know if they're going to run for the overall today, but really it's going to come down to who's going to win XC2. Ben Kelly has certainly thrown his hat into the ring. We had a chance to talk to Ben earlier before this race.
It definitely gives me good confidence coming into round 2. After a really good first round, I know my speed and fitness are there. So just going to try to get a good start here and get out front and ride my own race as fast as I can and hopefully take home the win.
All right, I know you come from Connecticut, so up north it's cold. We're down here. It's hot. It's humid. A lot of sand. A lot of people call Florida one of the tougher races of the year. What's your thoughts going into a track like this?
Yeah, I know it's going to be super tough. It's usually a survival race, just all the big sand whoops and how gnarly the course gets, and just 3 hours out here is super rough. But I enjoy the sand. I ride it quite a bit back in Connecticut, and I've been down south in Florida at Caleb's riding the sand for a month or so and feel good, so I'm ready.
Bollinger's down in that sticky sand there, so, and he's looking behind him like he's a little bit panicked. So he's got rolling again, but there's another rider down in that section. They don't see anyone coming, so I'm not sure who was looking for. Ricky Russell, I presume, is behind them.
Hey, we're joined by Steve Hatch coming into the booth here. Did a good job. I was watching the show from Big Buck. By the way, the riders just went through. This is the 3-mile mark where they enter this FMF PowerPoint. Then they go out into the Monster Mile. Monster Energy unleashing the beast on board with GNCC Racing this year, even on board with Jason Thomas's program. So the Monster Mile, really difficult section, and that'll be between the 3 and the 6 mile mark, between when they enter that sand section and when they leave that sand section. So that's really got to be treacherous. Miles basically 3, 5, and 6 could tell the entire race. It's going to be difficult back there.
Yeah, for sure. You know, that section there, if I'm right, that will be the that's huge sand whoops in between trees and a bunch of different lines back in there, and some palmetto routes in part of it. So we talked about them before, and you know, if you've never seen a palmetto route, you probably never want to see a palmetto route. To be honest with you, there's nothing about them that is that's fun. So yeah, I remember when I first came to America, and you know, came to the first round, and people were like, you're gonna see a lot of palmetto routes. And I'm like, what are them things? And then halfway through the race, I was like, I hate these things. These are no fun. So yeah, that section, that Monster Energy Mile there is nothing but sugar sand whoops up to your neck. It's going to be definitely a tricky section in there for sure.
So Steve Hatch joining us in the booth. What have you seen so far today that's standing out to you?
Well, Jason and Jason, it's great to run in here, and I was going to be out there for just 1 lap, and I ended up running around for 3 laps, of course, because I can't stop myself from thinking there's better lines that you could point these guys out, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, typical Florida, just like Jason's saying, those palmetto routes, seems like about the time you get momentum and get going, you hit one of those, and it scares you, and it feels like you're going to die. So then your confidence goes back out, and then you know, kind of pin it again and get your confidence back up, and then you hit another tree route or palmetto route. And like Jason was saying, that section in the middle is deep sugar sand, just like the beach, really tough. Dragging these bikes, they're going through the paces, and it's so rough now after a bunch of years racing that it's really hard to find a good line any side of the track.
Yeah, it's definitely a struggle. You know, I know last year I was on a 125, and that was it was the hardest race I've ever done for sure on a 125. And yeah, like Steve's saying, we've been here for a couple of years now, and there is no smooth line back there. So at the beginning of the race, when these guys had a ton of energy, they were able to come through there and kind of skip across the top of them things and use less energy. Now it's getting to the point where they're starting to fatigue a little bit. If they just slow down for a second in there, it messes the whole rhythm up. So it's definitely a tough section. Here comes Stu. There he is. He's still on the gas, and he's doubling and skipping across the top of everything still. So he's looking really good.
Made it through the Monster Mile.
Yeah.
No problem for Stu Baylor. I got the stopwatch going here. We'll see how close Strang is. At least it was Strang in second the last time we saw these riders. Now, Steve Hatch, I was here in the Florida days.
Oh, no.
No, it's still Strang. Caleb is right behind him, I think.
No, that's Thad.
Thad?
Yeah, that's Thad. Yep.
Yeah, you're right.
Thad and then Caleb. So
And-
they both got around Strang.
And I only counted at 28 seconds.
Yeah, they're coming for him. And now this is the point when Thad and Caleb can get together. They're over the
they're
stress at
trying.
the beginning of the race and catching that gap up. It's only 28 seconds now. now at this point, if they get together, they're gonna start catching that gap up on Stu pretty
so that
quick.
monster mile might have told the story there. Strang was second going into it,
Yeah.
and ends up fourth coming out of it.
Yeah, for sure it would be. And it could have been like we were talking earlier about the lappers in there. That section in there, especially if you catch a lapper in there, is going to hold on again. You know, the lappers are struggling just as much as you are, if not more. If they get a little bit squirrely in there and they crash in front of you, it can cost you a lot of time in there. So that monster mile definitely throwing a curveball in there.
All right, so Steve Hatch, Stu Baylor has been dominating this race basically from the start. Now they've got what was a 1 minute lead down to 25 or so seconds. If they catch him, when he first hears them, first sees them, what is that experience like when you've been riding by yourself for an hour and a half and all of a sudden you're like, uh-oh.
Yeah, it's the worst feeling in the world, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is.
Especially if you've been going at 100% the whole time.
Yeah.
You're hitting.
Yep.
Knowing how far back they came from is even more of a punch in the face. So one of those things that you have to pull a tear off and see if you can latch onto him would be my suggestion.
Yep.
Here he comes.
We got Stu again. I'll get the stopwatch going again.
Seems a little bit more relaxed through there now, and he's looking behind. So,
yep.
I mean, that could be that they're right there. They've caught him. Yeah, and you could see when he came through there relaxed, and he knows they've caught him. And like Steve's saying, worst feeling in the world. He's been out there all alone for the best part of an hour and 30, 40 minutes or whatever. So, and now they've caught him. It's just a real kick in the face, and it's like I've given it my all for this long, and I really wanted a gap, and now we're coming into the harder part of the race. The track's deteriorating, it's rough, it's beat up, and now he's got to deal with these two. So definitely at this point, this is where the mental side of it kind of kicks in. He needs to be mentally strong and kind of figure out what he's going to do. Is he going to let them come by and try and stick with them and wear them out, or is he going to try and stay out in front and try and pull a little bit of a gap again?
And we'll see if Strang can stick with them in fourth. The other Rockstar Energy Husqvarna rider, and speaking of Strang and Duvall on that Rockstar Husky team, we had a chance to tour that factory rig earlier this weekend.
Hey guys, Mikey Waynes here with RacerTV. I've got Michael Thompson with me here in the Rockstar Husqvarna tent. We've got Josh Strang's dirt bike right here, and you are about to go on a journey. You've heard of MTV Cribs? Well, this is GNCC Rigs. Michael, man, I'm going to turn it over to you. Give us a tour.
Hey guys, I'm Michael Thompson, Josh Strang's mechanic on Rockstar Racing Factory Husqvarna team. I'm Josh Strang's mechanic. This is his bike right here. I'm going to show you guys inside our semi and kind of how we do things around here. All right, so as you come in here, we got pretty much all of our cabinets with our chemicals, solvent tank in the back, just pretty much every single part that we need to get the job done. I'm going to show you guys a pretty cool drawer here. We spent quite a bit of time doing this with our graphic company, Decal Works and Deloitte over at Pelican. It's all like engraved and everything looking all clean, so that's pretty cool. We got like all of our nuts and bolts, pretty much every single thing you need to rebuild the bike on this truck. So all little cubbies, you know, just a little whiteboard right here just in case we need to write something down. Upstairs here, we got it's like the rider's lounge up there. That's where they get ready, change gear, all that stuff. Inside here is the bathroom. That's where we, use the bathroom and stuff. Up here is just a lounge, hangout, kind of, Timmy's up here on his laptop doing his thing. Food, do a lot of cooking up here. Pantry, all loaded with all the good stuff. Yeah, fridge, coffee maker, gotta have that for these long days that we're doing. But yeah, let me take you back outside here. And then yeah, so I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for cruising on through. That's just a quick little tour of our race rig here at the GNCC in Florida.
Well, I think it's break time for me. I know where I'm headed. Now we know where the food is stored inside those rigs, and I can see them over there. So
yeah, there
this
you
is
go.
not a long walk.
Go get a sandwich. Here's Stu coming through the grass track section there.
No time for a sandwich now. Let's see how close the Duvall and Russell battle had caught him, at least momentarily.
Look about. I mean, they were super close before. It seems like he might have stretched that out a little bit again.
I agree. I feel like they were closer than this.
Yeah. He's looking. I know. There they are. There's Duvall right on it. Yeah.
That is the tornado
Yeah.
seen in Jurassic Park. You're like, oh, they know how to open doors.
You know what's really all credit to Caleb here because he's had a bunch of mistakes throughout this race. He's been in the pits to get things fixed. He obviously was stuck in A gear. We're not sure which one it was, but it was probably a higher gear because he didn't seem to lose that much pace. But he's had to overcome a bunch of obstacles in this race, and he's now behind these two. But yeah, I think that Thad's looking really, really strong at this point now. And once he gets in, if he can get in front of Baylor, he's going to be in a really good spot. He hasn't used as much energy over the course of the race. He's just kind of been hanging out there and doing his own thing. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to get out in front. There's Strang. Seems to like he's dropped off a little bit. And them guys have got away from him.
Jason, I believe you referred to it as the tornado from Jurassic Park. I prefer when you have the duo of Duvall and Russell behind you. It is more like the theme song from Jaws.
Okay.
That is,
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
blood in the water.
Blood in the
They
water.
smell it, and all we hear is the Jaws theme song. They know Stu Baylor has ridden a phenomenal race to this point. He put everything he had out there, but at this point, you know, Jason, you've been in this position. You're obviously Steve yourself as well. Jason, the other Jason, not so much.
Never.
But let me tell you what happens here. You put it out. You put your best foot forward. You ran. You sprinted. You gave it everything you had. And these two rabid dogs just ran you down. So now you've got one of two choices. You can either give up, which there is no give up in Stu Baylor, or you do everything that you possibly can to latch onto them, try and catch that pace and say, I'm going to have to hang on by my fingertips here for a short amount of time. But if I can catch the draft, catch this pace, maybe, just maybe, I can stay with these guys and fight them down to the end. And we're not trying to make this a foregone conclusion for the folks at home. We're not a bunch of anti-Stu Baylor haters, but facts are facts. He gave it everything he had. They ran him down. So now it's time to take a breath, adjust, regroup, and go back after it and try and fight these guys.
Yeah, Stu's definitely going to want to try and stay in front of them. He's not going to want to let them get around him and kind of follow and see what they're doing. I always found it was more difficult to let them get around because then you at some point have to get back around them, and that uses a lot of energy. So if he can do anything, he wants to stay out in front of them and try and increase his pace.
That's that XC2 battle you just saw, the number one of Toth, and then Ben Kelly right behind him. I mean, they were in full moto formation here, hitting these berms, charging.
They seem like they've picked it up a little bit again as well, and Toth has started to pull out just a little bit on Ben, but they seem like they were charging pretty hard right there.
And somewhere at home, Charlie Mullins is proud. Those are his two boys. He's been working all winter. Kelly able to work his way back up from outside the top 10 like we talked about. Now up in that battle with Toth for the lead. And Jason, UK, going back to you for a second there. That was an interesting point because to be honest with you, me personally, I have 0 championships other than a youth. You obviously have those XC2 titles and an XC3 title. So see, I would do the opposite. If it were me, if I were Stu, I would let those guys around and try and latch on, try to be the trailer. But we're going to your way because obviously your way apparently works better. Whereas I'm just kind of like, man, you know, the train is coming. I'm on the tracks. I'm just going to kind of step out of the way of this thing and try and become the caboose. Steve, what are your if you were in that position, did you try and fight it or did you kind of try and just latch on?
Yeah, actually, it's interesting. I'm in between both of you. I would actually
break the tie.
Probably go to let them go by and hope they're catching their second wind and back off the pace a little so I can actually catch my breath. And then hopefully they nail it the last 2 laps to go. But if they're going to go by them and keep the hammer down, Stu might fall off the back. And, you know, I want Stu to win, but those guys are obviously gnarly. So I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, you could fight it either way.
Yeah,
high reward.
I think with Stu, I mean, he knows both these guys are rolling pretty good. He knows he's in shape. Yes, they've caught him at this point, and we don't know. He could have had issues. That's why they've caught him. But I know Stu well enough. You know, we talk most days. We're in a big group text, and definitely he's mentally very, very strong. Always has been. You know, he's dealt with injuries and all kinds of stuff over the years, and he's definitely strong. And he's not going to want to give it up. He's not the kind of rider that's going to follow. He's always the one that wants to lead, and I think that's what he's going to do here. I don't think he's going to give it up. If they get around, it's because they want it around.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Had to earn that one. Hey, we had the past winners of this event list up. Yeah, that was funny how we were in Palatka, and then we're in a different part of Palatka, like we're in a different county, but that's how big this facility is. Now, Steve, had you raced in those days, that wasn't a sand race. That was just straight water race. When we used to be here, we saw Barry Hawk on the ledger for winning 2 years in a row, but that race was crazy.
Unbelievable. Yeah, I was in that race and actually leading coming into the gas and ran out of gas like a half a mile to the halfway point. But yeah, I remember Barry won it, and I think out of all of us, only like 4 was even finished, if I remember right. We all blew up our bikes after that. I think all of us Suzuki guys blew them up.
It was just pure, like, I remember watching like a mile-long section of just water.
Yeah.
Never got on high ground.
Yep. And like it is out there now, I was trying to tell a lot of my riders, it's black mud.
Yeah.
So you can't tell if it's 2 inches deep or 3 feet deep, and that's the hardest thing, because even being great riders, it's a little bit of Russian roulette, which is the worst feeling in the world.
Yeah,
as
for
a
sure.
rider.
These guys coming through the pits. Someone's Thad's going to stop for gas. Caleb hasn't stopped for gas.
Not. Remember, Caleb got that bonus early pit stop.
So there, that's changed straight away just because of the gas stop there. That position has changed up a little bit. Now Thad's got to catch back up to them guys. So not sure why he gassed and they didn't, but.
Now this brings into strategy a little bit here as well. If, like you said, Caleb already having pitted, Thad losing a little bit of the draft there. You know, is this Caleb's opportunity? Does he strike? Does he take that 8 to 10 seconds he just got there and try and sprint? Because with him and Thad, it's really been nothing but a chess match for all of last season and obviously last race. It was like whenever one of them makes a move, the other one counters. So we'll throw it back to Steve and to Jason again. What do you guys do in this situation? Do you just kind of stick with the pace that you were running, or do you recognize the fact that you might have an opportunity here and really attack?
That's Strang, by the way, pitting. Go ahead, guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, at this point in the race there, I don't think either one of them can really drop the hammer on the other one. I think that they're very, and Stu as well, they're very evenly matched. I think it's going to come down to more of someone making a mistake at that point, and that's where the mental strength comes into it,
Look at this battle.
If Stu just stays mentally strong, they're on the same pace at this point now. As long as he doesn't make a mistake, Caleb really can't get past him. There's places he's going to gain, there's places he's going to lose, but as long as he doesn't make that mistake, he can hold that. And now they've been behind him for a little bit. Stu's going to realize that he's going to be like, they're not going that much faster than me, even though they've caught the gap I had. They're really not going fast enough to blow by me. So now I can settle into my pace and just focus on not making any mistakes.
So now, darn close right there, all three of them. Even Duval not too far back despite the pit stop.
What about your thoughts on that, Steve? What do you do in that situation?
Yeah, I like your idea too. I think you could if you're Caleb. I didn't see when he did pit. So does he have one more splash to the end, or what happened? When did he come in?
If he pitted early, he's going to have to pit again.
He changed the shifter, and I think at that point they gassed him. So where Caleb's at,
that's Toad's
because
pitting
Toad's
right now,
just
by the
pitted.
way.
So Caleb's going to pit the next lap, I would think, is where he's at.
But like you said, if you could get away and beat them mentally a little, I mean, I know all three of them are mentally strong, obviously, so you're not going to really play that many games. But if Caleb could get by Stu and pull on that dynamic duo also, and now that Stu's in there, it's going to be a battle all the way around. But it's a chess match for sure.
We just saw Toad and Kelly pitting simultaneously practically with the KTM rig battling for that XC2 lead. So that's going to be fun to watch those two raging right down to the end.
I really thought we were going to see something different today. I mean, with Kelly that much further back, nothing against Ben. I just didn't see him bridging that gap so quickly. I figured if we did see those guys hook up, it would be late in the race. But it's almost like somebody hit the rewind button, we're back to Big Buck, and those guys are just shadowing each other. And it seems, I don't know if it's by design or just by kind of happenstance, but it seems Kelly seems to be a little bit more comfortable back there in second. He was able to bridge the gap. He showed that extra speed, but he has not made a run at Toad to actually take the lead. So is he taking kind of the catbird seat and just saying, hey, look, I'm going to let you pick the lines. I'm going to let you make the noise for the lappers, and I'm just going to sit back here and try and capitalize. It didn't necessarily pan out for him at Steel Creek, or I'm sorry, Big Buck, but could it today?
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, he was on a mission. I was out there the first, second lap, and when he caught him, he was going twice as fast in those open fields that I was standing in. And now I think he's settled, and I think he's saving some in the tank, and he's going to pin it the last couple laps.
Yeah, I definitely think that Kelly has. I think he has more speed. Like you said, that they're riding and training together. They're teammates. They're good friends. At Big Buck, it seemed like Kelly just followed Josh around. I didn't see Kelly in the lead at any point. So, and the same thing, right? Gone to the lead, but I think he has more speed in the sand. He obviously gained all that ground, so he had more speed at the beginning of the race there. So yeah, I expect him to get around him, especially if Josh makes a mistake and Ben can get by him. I think that the big thing that he has going on is it's his teammate and their friends, and that there's no there's not a lot of not so much aggression there. If it was someone you didn't know or someone that you really wanted to beat, I don't think that's quite there. So he's following him and learning from Josh. And yeah, we're only at round 2, and I know in the past I've definitely done that at round 2, where I'll take the points for second as opposed to crashing out or something going wrong. So that's a good team effort they've got going on there for sure.
Yeah, and just to add to it, Jason, those guys obviously, both of those guys train together and race together since they're little up in New England, and I'm working both with them on the mental stuff this year still and last year. And, you know, they're both tough in their own way, and they're so good in the slimy stuff and gnarly stuff like you are coming from Wales. And it's one of those things, you get good in the fast and in the gnarly stuff. That's your deal when you're strong mentally and physically.
Yeah, you've sewn it up at that point once you've covered all the bases there. So
hey, guys. Just want to give you
Rodney.
an update from down here in the pits right now. We stopped over here to the Teely Energy pits to talk with AG, Stu Baylor's mechanic. AG, it looks like you guys got off to a blistering fast start there, man. A good race so far.
Yeah, Rodney, he was really charging hard. Got a good start for the first time in a long time. Got out front and put the hammer down, and I think he may have took a bad line around a mud hole or something, and Thad and Caleb got back with him. But it looked like the race is on for the next couple of laps.
So he looks like he's good to go to the finish, huh?
Fitness ain't an issue. He's good to go.
All right, he sounds like he's good to go. Maybe just a little mistake, so this one should be a barn burner right till the end, boys.
Well, thanks, Rodney. They definitely haven't eaten him up. Once they got close to him, he's been able to maintain. They haven't blown right by him, for sure. Get a little update on what it was like to race out here earlier today. We have none other than 8X, the 8-time National Enduro Champion Dick Burleson from Moose Racing joining us. Did you do some racing? I think you're good. Did you do some racing this morning? How'd it go?
Yeah, I had a good, well, I'd like to say I had a good time.
Okay.
You know, it's
a tough time, but a good time.
You know, I've been riding in the snow at home, so this was great. Come down here, he's seen some real dirt. You know, the track, and now it's even more. There's kind of like 4 different parts.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
Over there, you got goo mud, alligator holes.
Okay.
And then over on the other side, past the finish line, is white sugar sand with stone roots and stuff in it.
Okay.
Deep. That stuff's deep. I'm not good enough to stay up on top. Some of that stuff, I'm going down in it. So.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of like work. And then over here, when they come around at like I think it's like the 5-6 mile marker. Then it's palmettos and black dirt and fast. You know, it's pretty fun. That stuff's pretty fun, and the whoops aren't so big. You can stay up on top of that and go pretty good. Then the other part, which is is over by the field. When they're going to go to it.
Yeah. Okay.
Over in a field, it's it's like a big grass track, and you're going like a million. That's really fun. And it's kind of a breather too. You just go fast, and so the course has got really a lot of variety. You know, but it's 2 hours. I can pretty much still have fun.
Okay.
3 hours, yeah. So these guys, I don't know if they're having fun, but 3 hours at that pace in those whoops, you know, it takes a better man than me. I'm here to tell you.
I mean, look at this, Dick Burleson. They're right at that mark, 1:58. So we're about to go into the 3rd hour.
Oh, yeah,
this is where they separate the men from the boys.
Yeah, and the boys from their bikes. Yeah.
That's right. Stu Baylor trying to hold on. How many times, Dick Burleson, have you gotten to see racing from an angle like this?
It's killer. It's killer. The drone thing is like the best because you never see this. You know, that's one of the things that off-road has never been really great spectators' point.
Yes.
You're just at one spot, they come by, and then you wait for half an hour, and then they come by again.
Yep.
But here now on TV, we're like watching it. We're seeing it. You know, it adds a whole nother dimension to the whole thing. Who's running it? Because they're doing a good job, I can tell you that.
Yeah. The riding's been well done by the guys like Stu Baylor who are leading, but who's ever piloting this drone?
The pilot is
on their game today.
Oh no.
Yeah, absolutely. And you really get a perspective of how fast they're going. Sometimes you get these high up shots, they get far enough away where it doesn't look like they're going very fast, but that's not the case.
And the speed is all relative. You see him coming up on a lapper, and that guy's trying.
Yep.
He's riding 3 hours afternoon, and they go by him like, what? You know, so it's a whole different gig. If I won't take too much time, I just wanted to thank everybody that came. We had a fantastic turnout for the meal with spaghetti dinner we did last night at the Moose Semi, and really appreciate everybody. I think we fed almost 600 people last night, so it was killer.
Old-fashioned carb loading for the race.
Yeah, it was good.
Worked for you. Got you to the finish line.
Yeah, it's all good. All good. Anyway, I'll let you guys back to it. Appreciate it. All righty, thanks.
All right, Dick Burleson, 8-time National Enduro champ, stopping by here on the show, and that was good. That was perspective straight from the racetrack this morning. because he did race that morning race. So he's looking at 4 quadrants, 4 sections of the track, separated out. And a big thanks to Moose Racing and everyone at Parts Unlimited for supporting the sport, supporting this series. Did we get to see any updates on that lead pack from that drone shot?
I didn't see them.
Didn't see them through there yet. Okay, so we just wait patiently. That was interesting, though, the analysis we had from Rodney talking to AG in the pit. But they don't think it's because Baylor has dropped off the pace or is getting tired. It was just one mistake. The speed is still good.
Yeah.
So that's good news for the Stu Baylor crew. It's not like they're going faster than he is. No, it was just one mistake and ready to fight it. So we'll give you some results and give you everything that's running down. Should probably try to get some classes in here as well, some updates on some of the classes. We're going to be a top 10 rundown here in just a moment as well. So here it is. Baylor, Russell, Duval. That's the last time we saw them. Strang losing a little bit of ground in 4th. Toth is still 5th overall with Ben Kelly, of course, right behind him, both in the XC2 class and in the overall. Trevor Bollinger, 7th. Lane Michael, 8th. Pascal, well, boy, this is going to be my first swing at it. It's going to be the first of many, though. Pascal, yeah, I know. Mikey's very excited about how this goes. Yes, straight out of Austria, Pascal Raschenecker and Ricky Russell, 10th. That's all brought to you by Rocky Mountain ATVMC. That's your top 10 overall. Raschenecker, by the way, would be 3rd in the XC2 class. Ricky Russell losing a little bit of ground here. Remember, he was right with Duval and Caleb Russell earlier in the race. Oh, Craig DeLong now jumping up out of the XC2 class into 10th.
With Pascal, every time I say it on the podium, he made podium in Ironman, he made it in Big Buck.
Yeah.
Every time I'll turn the mic off and whisper, all right, do I say it like this? And he's like, that's fine. You say it like an American. I'm like, all right, well, I think that's a dig at me, but that's fine, man. We're going with Pascal. I mean, that's simple enough, right? We're all going to know his name by the end of the season, I think.
I got Pascal all the way. Is this Duval or Strang working his way through? Or neither?
No, this is someone else here.
Yeah. When
that drone's about on his head as well.
Yeah, what?
That's a real good shot. It'd be cool to follow Duval in that shot there. That'd be cool.
Okay, there might have been a shakeup as far as the lead out on this racetrack. And we'll get that to you in a moment. We're going to cue up a replay and show how things are rapidly developing here at this Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC. Man, does that shot not make you want to load up your motorcycle and come race here next year? Too late for 2018, but this looks fun. Maybe not for 3 hours, but it definitely looks fun to go and rip around, that's for sure.
Still have the last hour. That might be even more fun.
I know.
Go really fast for an hour.
It's pure survival at that point. And here we go. This is a shot, and it is now Caleb Russell into the lead. First time today, he's led it. Not a great start for either he or Duval, and they have steadily marched their way to the front. It's a Rocky Mountain ATVMC replay.
And gapped.
Yeah, so that's going to be, see how far back Baylor is now. This is go time for him. Can he latch on? And they're headed to that monster mile back there as they went through the FMF PowerPoint. Well, here we go. That was the risk and reward you were both talking about. You can let him by, and you can latch on, but latching on is easier said than done. It's not easy to do.
No, for sure. You know, if he did let him borrow, if he's made a mistake, then now he's going to figure it out. If he's on that pace, or if they are just going a little bit faster than he is, he's going to know here pretty quick. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out.
And I do think too that Caleb's obviously a very smart, being a 5-time GNCC champ, very smart at playing the mind games of knowing when to put the hammer down. If he got by him, even if he bonsai'd past him, or maybe Stu made a mistake, he is probably on a mission to try to pull some gap and try to break that mental confidence and the space a little bit. Caleb's really good at sprinting.
Just saw Toth rolling through. Let's see how big the gap in XC2 is to Ben Kelly.
He's pulled a gap as well.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, they were wheel to wheel in the pit.
There's Ben.
Yeah. Yep. What? We all thought Ben would be a little bit faster right now, maybe.
Yeah. Again, though, they're coming out of that monster mile, so you know, if they're starting to catch lappers, they're pretty thick in the lappers now. Maybe that's what has happened back in there.
Yeah, so this is the FMF PowerPoint. They enter that, they go to the Monster Mile, they come out and re-enter the FMF PowerPoint. So this is a real tough section of the track, and it is around this area where we saw Stu Baylor's lead go from huge to not that big. The next time we saw him, it went to basically non-existent of a lead. So this is a section of the track that can really change this race. We'll see if Ben Kelly can get back in it as far as putting pressure on Toth.
Yeah, and I'd like to add the lappers are so tough now. They're extremely exhausted.
Yeah.
Only the top guys are training their butts off. In this last hour, you can't fake fitness and you can't fake speed. So this is where it all comes down to those long hours that they can do, and a lot of these racers don't have the time to do that. They're doing this for more of a fun hobby, and it's awesome. But they're swerving Mervin in the middle of the trail, trying to get out of their way, and they're exhausted. And I've been there myself before, having time to train, and it's a whole different thing to try to go 3 hours. So, so now it's twofold. The lappers are kind of swerving a little, as well as the pros are going so much faster.
Yeah.
You just catch one of them, and you're on your head.
Going to update some other classes here real quick. We got Jesse Ansley has taken over the lead in XC3. Jason Raines was leading it for a while. 17 seconds is the gap. Ainsley, and we got him right there. Okay, perfect. It's like we coordinated it that way. And that 111 Kawasaki bike sitting there on a stand, waiting for an owner.
Unfortunately, yeah. It's parked up right now.
So Ainsley now out in front in XC3. Raines should not be too far behind. Christopher Vendetti, who's been out this game for a little while, is third. Tim Logenbach, fourth. Jacob Rowland, fifth in the FMF XA3 division. Dustin Simpson, sixth. Devin Welch, seventh. Tristan Landrum, Colin Keegan, and Hunter Shelton, 10th. Here is Jason Raines running his customary number 100.
Something up with his drink system or something. He's playing with something.
And I love it.
A little bit slower.
It would be the same thing if, Steve, you put the leathers back on and go and race. You see Jason Raines ride through that section, and it looks exactly like riding styles don't change. It looks exactly like it would have been 15 years ago. You can tell when you know a guy's riding style within one glimpse. You're like, yep, that's just the way he rides. It's crazy how that works, and I'm sure it'd be the same thing if we saw you out here. It'd be like, yep, that's Steve Hatch. You can tell it from the riding style.
Yeah, I think you don't change too much. You work on obviously being more at a pro level, more precise, making less mistakes, faster obviously, but your style is really your style. You can try to change it, but it kind of gets you to that point too.
There's your points in XC3 after our opener, and it's all sorts of mixed up.
Yeah, because Teagarden isn't in there today. He's out.
No, Alex Teagarden only ran 2 laps.
He had 2 laps and his spark plug came out. I tossed him on the track.
Really?
And I said, should I be smart and hang out for Georgia, or should we pin it? And I said, let's see if we can get some points and be top 10. So he's kind of riding his way back.
Okay, so he's not done.
I don't think he's done.
Just a lap down. Okay,
Yeah,
well, he hasn't come in for lap 3 yet.
You're right.
So Teagarden, and then Ainsley, I didn't see in the point standings there, top 5.
No, Ainsley had problems at the first round. So, but I mean, he's a Florida boy, so I'd expect him to do good here in the sand. And he's obviously he was a ways back, and he's caught up, got into the lead there now. So it would be. And Cody Barnes has had some kind of issues as well. He's dropped back, and he was second in points there. So that probably bumps Dustin Simpson up into somewhere in the points, because he had a third at round 1. So and he's running 6th right now. So he's looking strong, and he's a local kid. I help him out a lot, and he's got a leg injury. He hurt his leg last week, so it doesn't seem to be affecting him right now. So hopefully he can hold on for this last hour.
199 coming through there.
Last year's youth champion, Zachary Davidson.
Yeah, pretty cool going straight up here into the 3-hour race. Okay, so that's your FMF XC3 division right now. We mentioned that Toth is leading Kelly in XC2, and Caleb Russell out front. We did see Stu Baylor work his way back through the 6-mile mark. This will be our next chance to catch them here in the woods. Got the Moose Racing banners out, so we'll see if we can catch Caleb Russell here. Yeah, there he is on the right side. And motoing down right now, trying to run and hide. Their 5-time and defending series champ. Got the drop on Thad Duvall about 1 lap ago, and Duvall has not been able to reel him back in and keep that typical 1-2 punch we see to those two going. There's Stu Baylor on that Tele Energy Racing KTM.
And I have him about 18 seconds back right there.
I seem to recall somebody pointing out that maybe it would be a good opportunity for Russell to pull the trigger and try and get away.
You would not recommend letting him by? Okay.
Yeah. But at the same time, I think that Stu is, because they both dropped Duvall. So I mean, it seems like they both might have picked the pace up a little bit from where Duvall was, and my money was on Duvall. So
yeah, Well, bear in mind, I mean, Caleb still needs to make another pit stop here.
Right,
so
yeah.
That 18-second gap that we're talking about, that's going to be, I'd say, at least 8 to 9 seconds, possibly 10 of that is going to disappear right there when he comes in to take that splash of fuel, which, he's probably, that is part of the reason for the intensity we're seeing, but it may just be a byproduct of the fact he knows he needs to not lose them. So if they were right on him, he was going to be 10 seconds behind. There's Ben Kelly on screen. Has he taken the lead over from Josh Toth? No, Toth's still out there in front of him.
He dropped back just a little bit. We saw.
He's actually lost a little bit of ground in that back and forth seesaw battle that's been going on, raging now every day since the South Carolina race that they ride together. It seems those two. I noticed actually this week I rode with those guys a little bit, and they were riding separately. I don't think it was by design. I don't think there was any riff or anything going on, but who knows? Maybe it was a little strategy. They each wanted to find that little extra something, and Charlie wasn't there to babysit. So when the cat's away, the mice will play.
Yeah, I know that that program is a little bit integrated in with what Eldon Baker has going with KTM, and then they added Tyler Rattray to bring in more of the motocross and supercross guys, and then brought in Mullins to integrate it even further with everything KTM is doing. And they do admit, look, you have to have respect for the guy you're training with, but they understand if you're in a dogfight every weekend at the races, they can't expect you to do every single thing together and teach the other guy your tricks. But they at least want to have respect mutually as people between the two riders, even if you don't ride together every day.
Absolutely, and as we see one of those two guys we're talking about there, Josh Toth, on screen, with that respect level, I mean, it has to be a two-way street. Jason, obviously, in your day job as Mr. Supercross extraordinaire,
fun now, yeah.
You kind of have front row access to the Marvin Muskin, Jason Anderson saga that is developing.
No saga, all good, no drama, bro.
Right,
That's what they tell me.
Right.
That's what they tell me, no drama.
And there we see, I believe that might be Nick Davis on the left side of the screen, kind of creeping along there, going a lap down to Ben Kelly on that FAR Racing Gas. So there is Kelly still in second and still within striking distance, but that impressive display of speed he put on to close that gap has resulted in another gap opening up.
24 seconds ahead.
Oh, 24. That's, I guess we kind of got lost in the conversation there. Didn't realize it had gotten to be that long. So I believe 2 weeks ago, the biggest we saw was 19 seconds. And at the end, I believe it was around 12. So they kind of kept that gap there. So at 24, we've already seen him make up that time today, though. And here's, speaking of making up time, look at the roost off that rear of that FMF KTM. It's Caleb Russell, the #1 XC1 5-time champion, taking a look over his shoulder and saying, all right, boys, I would say eat my roost, but you're not close enough to taste it right now, so I'm just going to keep trying to run.
And he keeps looking over. Man, how long did he go, by the way, standing up through that giant right-hander? And I love Steve Hatch. You don't forget the new technology and all these GPS devices and drones. He's just running the darn stopwatch. He's just got the stopwatch on the wrist and telling us exactly what's happening on the track. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Use the stopwatch.
Old school, right?
That's right. Well, Caleb has opened it up. Should be still Baylor. Duval trying to bear down on him. 8.5 mile mark of a 13-mile track there at Baylor.
24 seconds on Caleb to Baylor.
So this is the pivot point of this race. If anyone can stay with him, and Caleb can make a mistake, allow them back in it. There's Thad digging deep.
Now.
All right, so that's good stuff. I'm going to try to give you a few other classes here real quick. We're looking at the 250A here. Brewer Cowley leading the way. Chase Hayes second. Michael Pilar third. Owen Geis and Simon Johnson. That's your 250A top 5. And we'll go into Open A. Just give me a minute here. Open A top 5 is going to be Bryce Koster leading the way over Cole Kirchhoff. Good lead for Koster right now. About a minute. Connor Smith is in third. Zach Tussle and Cope Beckert. That's your Open A top 5. And your let's go to Senior A, 40 plus. Rick Burton leading it with a minute over Frank Messina, Scott Buxton, Joe Kessler, and Shotgun Sean Remington. That is your top 5 of the Senior A division. Then we have Junior AB, that's 25 plus. As we're back to our drone shot here on Racer TV. Junior AB, Nicholas Marty leading the way. Big gap over Tyler Burton, Justin Ulrich, and Jake Hines. That's your top 5 of Junior AB. Where's our 4-stroke A lights class? Here it is. 4-stroke A lights, Bolton Baroff leading the way out of North Carolina, but it's pretty close. Chris McNamanis not too far behind him. Frederick Bloin out of Canada is third in 4-stroke A lights. Blake Grindstaff fourth. Nathan Davis fifth. And I want to see where some of these riders are in the overall, where our top amateur rider would be. You got to go pretty far down now that we have the XC1, XC2, and XC3. Ainsley is 21st overall, leading that XC3 class. Raines 22nd overall. And our top A rider is Brewer Cawley in 24th place overall. So he could be looking at top amateur today. So good job by Brewer Cawley leading the way in 250A. Traditionally, the faster of the amateur A classes, and that's been the case for Brewer right now. We're waiting for more shots from our live drone. Okay, leaders are going to be in this shot pretty soon, or in one of the shots that we have in about 30 seconds, and then we'll get an update. Remember we saw that? That seems like that's Caleb right there. All right, this is awesome. We're going to hitch a ride, and look at the line change cutting inside there. So now we're going to hop on board. We're going to latch on. No one else can. So we're going to sit back and take a ride with the defending series champ, Caleb Russell, getting away right now in the Pine Forest. And we'll put the radar out for second place. Try to find Stu Baylor, who's probably going to deal with some pressure from Thad Duvall. And I think we just saw Duvall right here.
Yeah, that's Duvall. It looks like he got around Stu.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, he goes the wide line through this section. Caleb went a little bit further to the left. It's unbelievable. It almost doesn't matter what track, what start, what happens. This is the way it ends up. These two chasing each other for the win. We see a rider on the top of the screen. That might actually be Stu Baylor. He could still be in second place. And then they're headed to the pro pit. This is right behind that. So when we see them in the pro pit, we'll get another idea of if it's still Baylor in second on the Tele Energy Racing KTM, or if Duvall has taken it from him on the Rockstar Husky. And then Strang has been now running a lonely fourth place. Kind of lost touch just a bit with all that scrambling through the pit stops. Well, I hear someone absolutely on the gas. Definitely the shifter is working now, going through the gears. Caleb Russell had that problem earlier. All right, here they are. Again, we're watching the pack with our live drone. We got spotters in the pits telling us when we do see Caleb Russell or hear him come through. But we'll be able to spot him ourselves.
He's going to get gas this time as well.
So what do you think, UKJT? Is this the last gasp if Duvall and Baylor don't have to stop? Is this their last shot to try to go after him? Because they're going to make up that 15, 20 seconds right here if they can go straight through.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a chance for them to get a little bit back on him. It was hardly in there.
Yeah, that was nothing.
They're going to struggle to. I mean, what they're trying to do right now is get him back in sight. If they don't have him in sight, they're really going to struggle. You know, it's not. There's nothing to chase. You're riding against yourself, and you push him. But Stu's looking down at his gas tank, see if he needs gas.
It is still
charging. But I mean, that's a. They closed up a little bit there, did they, Steve?
I think so. I'll get it right here.
Yeah,
19, but the gas was about 5 seconds.
The gas was 5, yeah.
So
yeah.
Makes sense.
So they're matching his pace right now, and it is still Baylor, by the way, in second. So they matched him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Thad caught up and looked a little bit to Stu because he had 7 seconds in that grass track.
Right, yeah.
A few miles back.
Yeah.
So it's on.
Thad's the one that has that, in my opinion, if Thad gets around Baylor there, he has phenomenal sprint speed. You know, if he gets a glimpse of Caleb up ahead, he will he'll drop the hammer and go after it. And some, you know, in years past, it's kind of been Thad's downfall. Possibly he's tried doing that and he's ended up with injuries because of it. But I think he's matured a lot as a rider, and he's able to manage that much better now. That's why, you know, he's going to be a championship contender this year for sure. So he definitely has that speed to be able to close that gap for sure.
Now, by the way, in XC2, last time they came around, the gap was only 6 seconds between your leader, Toth, and Kelly in second. So Kelly's back in this thing.
Back up, yeah.
Yep. that might be the most fun race to watch down the stretch. If those two go at it, we're watching Baylor here doing everything he can, trying to hold on a second. And there's Duval continuing to bear down on him from third.
Yeah, he's going to close in on him pretty quick when he gets in the woods, I would think. And, you know, Thad knows that he needs to get around Baylor. If he's going to make something happen, he needs to get around Stu here pretty quick, and then get his head down and go after Caleb.
Well, it's pretty cool how all three of these have righted the ship. They were all outstanding riders from the youth ranks, won youth overall titles. Caleb was able to carry that through into the XC2 class and then the XC1. Baylor had a broken wrist that he was dealing with just about the time he was going to the big bikes.
Yeah.
And he won a national enduro title with that wrist, but he really jacked it up doing that.
Yeah.
And had several years kind of off the back, as you would use the term. Last year really kind of got himself back on the grand stage. Same thing for Duval, who had a series of injuries, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Really cool to see all three of these guys now hitting their peak, hitting their prime together. It's led to some great battles, and we might have another one today.
Yeah, it's definitely cool to see. Now, I've raced all three of these guys, you know, coming up as kids, and yeah, they all have they all bring something different to the party for sure. And when they get together like that, they're back together like they were when they were kids, but they're going that much faster, and they're definitely learning from each other. And that's you know, again, we have a race where all three are close, and we didn't necessarily have that, you know, for the last couple of years, I don't think. So it's great to see that there's more depth in the field, you know. So these guys are going to be rolling together all year, I think.
Yep, should be a phenomenal championship battle. A couple other riders they used to. Okay. All right, so we just got the update. It is now a 12-second gap as they've just completed another lap. That was actually the last time we saw them through the pits, not the next lap. It was 6 seconds when they completed lap 4, and then 12 seconds now as they came through the pro pit. Toth extending it over Kelly just a tad. 12 seconds is not a comfortable lead by any means.
So, guys, is it the 2-lap board come out yet? I haven't seen
They said
it,
it's going to be a
lap?
6-lapper, so I guess it would be, yeah.
It's coming out this time by?
I think they already took it. Yeah,
Oh,
they
did,
took it
so
already.
it's
Yep.
1 lap to go?
Yep. So we're looking at a lap and a half, I think. Yep.
Got it. So
Here it
there's
is.
1 to go right now once Caleb comes
Once
by.
they come to it, yep.
Got it. So, yeah, it's showtime for everybody.
Yeah.
Hammer down this lap, especially Thad if he has any prayer to catch Caleb. 'Cause Caleb's going to pin it too. And Thad.
Well, what is it like out there, Steve? I remember when you guys are going, it was like you rode pretty hard, and then you took the gas stop, and then you really stepped it up, and then when that white flag came out, everyone really, really stepped it up.
Yeah.
That's pretty gnarly to do, though, late in the game.
Right. You want to try to make sure you still have a little left. I mean, it depends on the terrain for sure.
Okay, there's the white flag. Yep.
There we go. One lap to go. So it really depends on the terrain. Some races, you can go the whole thing 3 hours wide open, it seems like. And other races that are more technical, or when you try to go at 100%, you actually fall down more, the slipperier technical ones. So like 85, 90% is actually probably your fastest pace for 3 hours, in my opinion. So yeah, we would try to sprint off the start and then get into a good rhythm, probably 90, 95%, and then maybe sprint into gas, try to be out of sight, out of mind.
Okay.
And then sprint out of gas, and don't tell the other guys, obviously, but if you can break them, you would know on the pit board, all of a sudden it's minus 30. You're like, oh man, where'd he go? He didn't tell me he was grabbing another gear. So try to break them that way, and then with 2 laps to go, it's showtime, and really try to get it so that you're, making those last 2 laps count and try to save something for the end for sure.
Yeah. This round in particular, you know, Steve's saying about some of them rounds, you feel like you're wide open for 3 hours and it doesn't affect you. This one here has always been one that is super demanding, super physical, and coming into this, you know, this last lap here, I don't know. These guys are in great shape for sure, but they've been going pretty hard now for almost 3 hours. So what they've got left, I'm not quite sure, but we're about to find out.
Yeah, this is nitty-gritty. 1 lap to go.
And especially with both, Thad and Caleb getting bad starts, they've been pushing the whole time.
Right,
for the most
yeah,
part, until they maybe backed it down a little, maybe when they got Stu or not. Doesn't look like they did much. But now maybe they got their second wind, and they have a little bit left for these last 2 laps, would be my thought.
Yeah.
But 1 lap now. So, yeah, it will be interesting to see who has what left. And always when you're winning, you have a lot more energy, right?
Yeah, for sure, yeah. Yeah, you find that little bit extra, and you're able to push through, and yeah, you're not... It can go either way, but with the gap that he has right now, he has enough of a breather to not panic and not be flustered, and just kind of breathe and you know, enjoy the last lap almost. You know, if Duvall catches up to him, then that's going to change that situation. And then the ball moves into Duvall's court where he can see Caleb now, and he has something to chase, and that gives him the extra spurt. So go a lot of different ways right here. And then obviously Stu's in there and didn't use all that energy at the beginning of the race trying to catch up because he was out front. So, you know, they're all in different situations, but almost the same place on the track. So
he might have a lot of energy left. You're right, Jason.
Yeah.
He could because he was kind of pinning it, but yet out front makes it a lot easier.
Right, yeah.
Didn't hit the lappers. You wasn't passing the other pros using tons of energy up front. So
that was Toth coming through, I think.
Only 3 riders have come in with 5 laps complete to take that white flag yet. Russell, Baylor, and Duvall. So we're still waiting on Strang. Still waiting on an update from everyone else. But the white flag is flying. There's Ben Kelly. Pick out that long, lanky frame through those woods.
Yeah, so it was Toth that came through.
Yep. So Toth did make it through. This is very close to the finish line. That's where you can see the white flag right there. So we'll update this in a second. I wonder where Toth is going to end up being in the overall here versus Strang. At one point he was 3rd overall, then he was back to 5th behind Strang. See what turns out here. 21 seconds is the gap between your leaders in XC2. So Toth just slowly but surely trying to march her way down the stretch run.
Did you guys pick up that Josh Toth's jersey is completely removed from the right side of his body, just as Ben Kelly's was at the last race? So when we talk about parodies, when we talk about those two kind of, it's like a rewind, revamp, reshow. We got the only difference is everything is the same, except for this week it is Josh Toth's jersey who is removed completely from his body. When I say ripped, like there's nothing left to the right side of the jersey. No arm, no sleeve, no nothing, just gone. It's just kind of flailing behind him as if he was attacked by a shark.
Wow, maybe that happened.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, or a gator out here.
Yeah, gator for sure.
Yeah, well, a highly ventilated jersey now.
Well, Jason, I believe this answers your question as to where Josh Toth is in terms of Josh Strang. He is physically ahead of him.
Yeah.
So we no longer have to do any calculating as far as time correction or anything like that. He is physically ahead of him. There's Trevor Bollinger.
Bollinger's catching Strang as well.
So that would be for 4th place physically in XC1 and 5th place overall. Actually, I'm sorry, 6th place overall because Ben Kelly has passed both of these guys as well.
Yeah, so that was a rough lap for Strang.
Yeah.
A 31-minute lap. To give you an idea, Duvall, a 27-minute lap. Baylor, a 28-minute lap. So
he's had issues somewhere for sure. I would say because Strang is, it's not like he's dropping off because he's not in shape, because he's in great shape. So he's had some kind of an issue back in there with a lapper or a mud hole or something.
All right, yeah, he lost multiple minutes on that lap, and that has dropped him out of that top 5 overall. Rodney, what's it been like surveying the place, man?
Well, I tell you, man, it's been awesome. And really, I'm sitting back there where you guys are watching the whole race, but being able to get out and move around and see the race from different points, talk to different people throughout the race, and listen to you guys all at the same time, I want to be a more and more of the way. but no,
we can arrange that.
Yeah, I know, right? That's perfect.
Okay.
Just as long as you keep the paychecks going.
Oh, all right.
But the thing about it is wow, what about this race? I mean, Stu Baylor started up on this one, and he was on fire, and it looked like it's going to be tough to catch him. But we all know it's a 3-hour race, and just exactly what we thought might happen has happened. And here we are. Caleb's back out front. But, I mean, when you look at the things that have taken place, at one point, Caleb was back, 4th, 5th place in the early part of this race.
Yeah, he was pretty far back, and even had the problem, you saw him in the pits, having to change the shift lever. Then Jason Thomas revealed to us that changing the shift lever on a KTM really doesn't take much time at all, and then he was right, because it didn't. It was less time than it actually took to fill him with gas. So that was really no issue.
So he got on the gas after that, and then eventually, I stopped down at the Tealy Energy pits, and I was talking to some folks, and they were telling me that last race, Stu, felt like he burned himself out. He really put a lot of energy forth in the early part of the race, and he was going to try to gauge himself a little bit different. So they thought that maybe at that point he'd pushed himself and was kind of relaxing, as it's going to try for a late race push. But the way things are looking right now, I'm not real sure if that's going to pan out for him or not.
Yeah, it's just hard with the pace that those guys are rolling with, coming through traffic, Duvall and Russell. But it could be a good tussle for second. Baylor still had it when they came through the last time.
Here's Caleb.
Yep. Into the FMF PowerPoint. Caleb Russell in the lead. See him on screen. But how about that battle for second? Every point could count in this championship. And that could be pivotal
if Baylor can hold off Duval or if Duval can get around Baylor.
And I think if we go back to last summer at the John Penton GNCC, when we saw the lead change and all the craziness that was going on with the way things tightened up, I think that right there should be proof positive of just how exactly 1 point can matter.
So we'll see these riders in second. Still Stu Baylor.
28 seconds back.
Hey, 28 seconds is not a lot.
No, it's not a lot.
Nope, only a 28-second lead for Caleb Russell. Baylor's in this one as they head to that Monster Mile. We saw Baylor lose about 30 seconds earlier in the race back there. If that happens to Caleb, and you see who's in hot pursuit, Thad Duval right there, it could all change as they head to that Monster Mile.
Yeah, Caleb's looking behind as well, so that's strange to me that Caleb would be looking behind now at this point. That tells me that he probably is, he's probably starting to feel a little bit of fatigue and wanting to know where them guys are, so that could become a factor here pretty quick.
Getting a quick commercial break here, and we'll be back with the stretch run and the finale of this Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC.
We handle your races, your jumps, and your trails. Isn't it time you give your daily driver the same love? AMSOIL Signature Series Synthetic Motor Oil delivers 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than required by a leading industry standard. AMSOIL also offers a full family of dirt bike lubricants, giving you above and beyond fortification for your weekday and weekend vehicles. AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
I'm a sore loser.
I'm a sore loser. Losing is not an option for me.
Be the best.
The best? The best. You have to have the best equipment under the hood. That's why I only use
Cometic products in my engines.
Cometic gasket. Cometic gasket. Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket, a superior quality gasket
for those of us who demand the highest level of performance.
All right, we are back here live on RacerTV.com. It's GNCC Live, and this is really interesting. This final lap, Caleb Russell came from so far back, made that pass, and the whole question was, could Stu Baylor latch on? He has to, because he's got Thad Duval breathing down his neck. 28-second gap between first and second. Second place is motivated to hold off the rider in third. This could come down to the wire.
Yeah, these guys are, now it's going to come down to it. You know, they're the gap isn't huge. It's not like they can't pull or close the gap on Caleb. So yeah, it's really going to come down to who wants it more. I think especially when they come into that grass track section, they can see each other in there, and they kind of know where they are. That's going to be kind of make or break. I think if Stu and Duval can see Caleb in front of them, they're really going to try and drop the hammer and close that gap. So it could come down to the last couple of miles.
That's Update XC2, Josh Toth coming through. And there's the jersey.
Yeah.
Wow, that thing is shredded. Look at Pledge Allegiance. It's like a flag flying right now. Or cape.
He's super Josh.
Yeah, I mean, how are you going to beat the guy? Superpowers. Wow, okay, so something obviously grabbed the jersey. I know these jerseys are so thin these days, it doesn't take much.
There's Ben, that gap's closed.
It's a lot closer, guys.
Okay.
We're counting up. We're at 11, 12, 13, right at this, right there. 15 seconds.
Yeah.
So we dropped it from 24 to 15. They're 24 right here, weren't they?
Yeah, and now he's going to come up against that lapper thing there where Josh is going to catch the lappers first, and they're not going to know he's there necessarily, and then after he's gone by, they're going to be expecting someone else to come. So it's always better in that situation for the guy in second place.
Yeah, it kind of bounces them out of the way, and then
they know. Yeah, it clears the track for you. So that's definitely a better situation at this point, I would say, to be in second, especially with the amount of lappers that are here and the way the track is.
I agree. And Josh's cape's showing, so
right.
You know he's got the superpowers.
Yeah, that's
right. He's going to need them.
As we watch this shot here, one of the next bikes we should see coming will be the number 1 FMF KTM of Caleb Russell. He's going to pop out of there, hit the backside of that FMF PowerPoint, coming off the Monster Mile, and from there, That is about the 6-mile marker, folks, in a 13-mile track. And while you would think that's only halfway, it may be in distance, but I can assure you that when you start talking about how long it is from here to the finish, it is just a blink of an eye, because these boys are going to click it up a couple of gears, and this is where they hit those big field sections. So from here, the 8-mile marker is where it opens up into the big field. So you're looking at the 6-mile marker, roughly, give or take, right there. So he's got 2 miles of sand whoops and palmettos left that are going to go by pretty quickly for him, and then from there, it's going to be nothing but looking over his shoulder, checking his gap, and pushing himself through those fast fields we talked about. And Jason, earlier in the race, you mentioned that that's not somewhere to make up time as those fields. So realistically, from right now, here we see on screen the number 1 FMF KTM of Caleb Russell leading the way, charging, and he's probably going to start taking a look over his shoulder as soon as he hits it. There, he took one there. He just wants to make sure, knows where he's at.
You're good, bro.
And he's going to say, okay, what do we have here? What do I have to do? I got 2 miles left. He's going to sprint it, and he's going to try and open up that gap. So when he hits those fields and he's looking over his shoulder, he sees nothing but green grass and sunny days on his way to another win.
Saw Strang entering at the bottom of the screen after losing some ground that last lap around. Leads of time. Here we go.
Stu.
Second place. So Stu Baylor.
25 seconds.
Yep, 25
Notice
seconds.
Stu Baylor's drink system there hanging. That has come disconnected. That is coming out of his helmet and is no longer connected to the drink system on his back. So Stu does not have the option to get himself a drink if he wants to freshen himself up for these last couple miles. And he's got a hungry dog behind him in Thad Duvall. But Duvall, as hard as he's charging, really has not been able to make any inroads. It just seems to be that same 4 to 5 second gap that we've been looking at for about the last lap now.
Yeah, it's surprising to me. I figured that would have closed that gap, but obviously, you know, he used a lot of energy at the beginning of the race there because they were so far back, as did Caleb. But it just seems like he hasn't been able to get past Stu, and that's obviously held him back a little bit, and now he's dropped back a little bit.
Well, I would certainly want a drink if I had Thad Duvall putting pressure on. And it's all on the line here on the last lap. We'll show this to you again. And yeah, that's right. That's just dangling.
It's dangling, and he's dropping the front end, which says to me, Jason, Steve,
boy.
you guys know what that means. He is one tired pup, and he is, you know, definitely trained hard. Here he is, Caleb Russell on the stretch run now. This is coming up to the 7-mile marker, so he's already covered nearly 1 mile of that gap that he has to make it to the 8-mile marker, which from there it's all fields. So basically a few obstacles remaining. There's 1 mud hole, and then again, just those big fields. So he's taking a look over his shoulder. What he doesn't know is he has opened that gap up. The last we knew was 24 seconds, I believe, is what we were looking at. And it seems that it may have even opened up slightly more than that now.
Yeah, and I'd have to guess, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he's probably pretty worn out and just trying to make sure, you know. I've never seen Caleb look that much backwards, so I'm sure like all these guys.
Oh, look at this. Thad Duvall on the inside making a run up.
Whoa.
So that 5-second gap has now become nothing. This is like a preview or a review of last night's Daytona Supercross with Justin Brayton trying to close up that win. Jason Wagon hanging out of the booth, screaming.
Voice cracking. Yes.
His man crush at a whole new level, trying to make sure that Brayton gets that win. Well, right now, the Stu Baylor fans are doing the same because Thad Duvall is closing the like the Eli Tomac of GNCC right now, charging, trying to get that gap closed because he's going to want to make a run at Baylor in these final field sections.
Oh, and they know the points are so valuable between these two positions right now. You might be kicking yourself all the way through Halloween that you didn't get those points, or you did get them at round 2 here at the Moose Racing Wild Boar. So that is going to be interesting. I thought they might push each other all the way back up to the rear fender of Caleb Russell. It hasn't happened.
They still could. I mean, there's still, again, here we're looking at the 7-mile marker. This is a 13-mile track, so there's 6 miles of racing left. It will happen quickly because of the pace of the next 5 miles, 5 to 6 miles. But nonetheless, it is still possible. We certainly don't need to be giving away any overall trophies just yet. These guys got 6 miles left to settle the score, and what we're seeing on screen is a wheel-to-wheel battle between Thad Duvall and Stu Baylor over that 2nd place spot. And as Jason just pointed out, could that potentially push those guys all the way up to the rear wheel of the number 1 FMF KTM of Caleb Russell? We're going to find out here in just a matter of moments. The next shot we should see will be these guys busting out into the open section right here at the just after the 8-mile marker, and we should see that here in probably less than a minute or so. So, folks, grab your favorite beverage. Make sure your snacks are topped off because this one's going to come right down to the wire here in about less than 10 minutes.
Now you're just rubbing it in on Stu Baylor. can't grab his favorite beverage. That's exactly what he wants to do right now. He wants something in that drink system, and he can't get it.
Jason, you're no longer a regular. You don't know the things here. Stu Baylor gets ice cream when he gets on the podium.
I did.
So.
Yes. Okay, so he's just thinking, I don't need a drink right now. I'm thinking finish line and ice cream.
He just wants his ice cream at this point.
Okay, he's not worried about drinking.
He broke his tooth at the last race, so I don't know how that's going to work out with the whole ice cream thing, because there's a hot-cold sensitivity with new veneers or teeth or whatever it may be. So that could be a downside for Stu, but he's ridden through the pain for 3 hours. I'm sure he can soldier through the pain of some ice cream.
Well, that's how when those teeth hurt, you just have to put them on ice, so why not do it with ice cream? And by the way, we're going to rehydrate ourselves and probably have some ice cream tonight, because we'll be back on the air tomorrow. We're going to bring this whole truck down to Daytona International Speedway on the infield for the Ricky Carmichael Amateur Supercross at Daytona. We'll start it at 12 Eastern time. I hope you adjust your clocks. I guarantee you Steve Hatch did. He's got that watch super dialed in.
Thankfully, with the new technology, it already had it.
Oh, you do some of that. You do technology thing. Okay, Steve.
Old school.
So we'll be on at noon tomorrow from Daytona, the best amateur riders in the business, racing Supercross on the infield. I was there this morning watching practice, and then we got the heat races started. It'll be great to watch. So right here on Racer TV tomorrow afternoon, here's Caleb Russell into those fields we were talking about.
Looking pretty hard behind him as well. He's taking a good look.
You know, we pointed out that maybe it's because he's tired. I think at this point, Caleb Russell's just being cautious. I mean, he's laid everything out. He just does not want to get caught off guard. He doesn't want to have these guys suddenly, you get in a position where you think you're running the same pace you have been, and you think you've got the gap that you need to bring it to the finish. And it's next thing you know, you got a bike revving behind you, and it turns out it's none other than the guy you just got away from. So I think that's a lot of what we're seeing Caleb Russell looking over his shoulder is not so much that he's tired. He just wants to make sure they don't catch him off guard.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. Making sure he knows where they're at. But now we've seen a few pit boards, so here we go.
I talked to Caleb before this race. I talked to a couple of these guys, and I was asking about their heart rate data for this one. If he watches Battle per Second, I talked to Thad Duvall also. Caleb had mentioned a phenomenally high average heart rate in this race last year. He put it out on Instagram. And I said, hey, can we get that data from you this year? And he's like, yeah, but the goal is for it to not be as high this year. I don't want to have to go to that red zone level again, because he and Duvall were battling down to literally the last mile of the race. So maybe doing a little bit better job of managing it this time by having that little gap to play with in the last lap and not having to go into full reserves under fire from Duvall. Now that's Stu Baylor's turn to deal with that. He's the one that's got Duvall all over him in this fantastic battle for second, and it was really close when we just saw them come through.
Yeah, they were nose to tail, and I agree with Jason. Stu's not going to now give an inch, and it's going to go both of them to cartwheels if they have to, and the Tomac Cooper Webb deal if they have to. But they both want to get second, not third.
Yeah, for sure. That Stu's not going to give it up at this point, and like Johnny said, the track from this point on is pretty fast. There's not a lot in it, so as long as he just holds that pace and doesn't make any mistakes, and he should be able to carry it to the finish line. They have a big gap over Strang.
Strang was under fire, remember, from Bollinger.
Yeah.
But the XC2 riders were ahead of them physically. Toth had actually gotten by Strang. Strang had that bad lap.
So them two are the next battle to see if they close it up, if Ben closes it up on Josh.
Two things you guys just talked about there. Jason, you were talking about the heart. We've gotten to the point where we now have live drone coverage at GNCC. So pretty soon, I think we need to figure out a way. If you watched Supercross last night, you could see that they had the live heart rate on for riders. I believe it was Austin Faulkner was one, and you could see what those guys were pinging. I think that'd be pretty cool to see for GNCC if we could link that up. And a lot of us wear that during the race. It's just a matter of getting that data to the live feed to be able to see, because I think people would be pretty astonished. As you said, Caleb put that data out there last year, and it was kind of mind-numbing. Yeah. I actually have several people I've talked to that are trainers or have training experience and exercise physiology, all that kind of stuff, that said that's not right. That's not accurate. The strap wasn't reading correctly, this, that, and the other thing. And I just kind of chuckle at them and say, look, man, we do this all the time. This isn't guesswork. You guys have no idea what what these athletes put themselves through. And that's why a lot of times when you deal with trainers that are not moto specific, they just don't get it. They don't understand. And the other thing was, we were talking about Josh Strang and Trevor Bollinger. I think Trevor Bollinger, as good as these first two races have gone for him, it's got to be a little bit disheartening for him you know, just a short time ago, 2 years ago, he was winning that XC2 title. There is Strang on screen.
Did we see Lane Michael, by the way,
Yeah,
also?
we did.
Yeah,
Lane
we
in
did.
front of him. Yeah, Lane has gotten his way around Strang. So Strang definitely battling something. But, you know, with Bollinger, he won that XC2 title 2 years ago. And now, even a little bit last year, but, you know, specifically today, last race was great for him. He ended up fourth overall. But today, he was passed by 2 riders in that XC2 class. So that's something, you know, he's got to kind of wrap his head around. And those sophomore blues a little bit in the XC1 class, he's got to keep reminding himself that he's doing the right things, he's working hard, and his day is going to come.
Yeah, it is strange how we see that happen often when the XC2 guys move up and they end up battling the same guys, even though they have a lead on them at the start, and they used to be able to beat them straight up. It's just funny how that works. The XC2 guys with that dangling carrot starting on row 2. Still working this deep FMF PowerPoint sand section.
Cody Barnes out of the FMF XC3 class.
Oh, out?
Yeah, just
all right.
Pulled in.
XC3, I think by now they were 4 minutes in. They finally came in. Ainsley came in, and he has stretched that lead all the way up to 2 minutes on Rain. So Ainsley's just got to avoid disaster here, and he could lock up this FMF XC3 125 class victory today. Rain's looking for podiums again this season, and we mentioned championship points in that class are all sorts of mixed up with Teagarden having his problems earlier in this one after winning the big buck 2 weeks ago in South Carolina. So XC3 is wide open.
They actually have throwaways in that class now as well, which is different than last year. I forgot that was new. They have 2 throwaways, yeah. So them points in that class aren't as close as they were with us last year, so that changes a little bit. But yeah, definitely some mix-ups early in the season with them bikes already.
We had the camera ready there at Ricky Towery at the finish line. He's got the white flag in one hand and the checkered in another.
While we're taking a look at that shot there with that monster banner there, you know, just again, it's pretty awesome to see off-road racing evolve to the point where it has. We have Jason sitting here with the big monster logo on his chest. You know, that's something we've seen in Supercross and other extreme sports athletics over the past several years. To see Monster and companies that magnitude involved in GNCC and off-road racing in general, it's definitely a big feather in the cap of Racer Productions and the entire crew and everybody that, you know, the racers themselves, that things have elevated. I mean, you see the fans lining the courses. We have the live coverage. We have drones. We've already decided that we're going to add heart rate. I think at the last race, Steven, myself, and Rodney decided we were going to add Ryan Sipes with a live GoPro so he could go out and battle these guys and get some live stuff. So we're just continually stepping up the game here, and you know, it's companies like Monster that make that happen. So with the Monster Mile, head to your local retailer, get yourself a Monster, and support the companies that support the sport.
It's a great way to get the boost you need to get home after you race one of these things, and you got to be back at work on Monday, and you got to get on the road. A lot of people are going to be heading up north right about now. Some people that probably race the morning race once this thing concludes. Looking at DeLong here out of the XC2 division.
It's a rider I really expected to see more out of early in the season. Not to take anything away from Craig. I think he is still running 5th in that XC2 class. I think Pascal Rocknicker still in that
4th now, up ahead of Trevor
okay.
Barrett. Yep.
So he's up to
moving up.
Oh, and there is Caleb Russell on screen. This is the final turns now. He is through. This is already after the VP Fuels Pro Row, so that should mean that we should see Stu Baylor and those guys as well working their way through VP Fuels Pro Row. We must have missed that on screen.
And we're at the finish line. We are ready for Caleb Russell to come through. Baylor still digging, man.
Yeah,
still going for it.
Closed up, for sure.
Yeah, he has.
And pulled away from Duvall.
So weathering the storm. Thad Duvall was coming for him.
Drop Duvall.
Yeah. So this will be interesting down the stretch. Stu's closing in on Caleb, and I think Duvall,
he's spent.
Yeah, he's not going for it any longer. Wow. Well, you got to give these guys credit. They started pretty far back. They had to come from way back to catch Baylor. They got there. Caleb Russell able to get around. Duvall was never quite able to get past Baylor, and that's got to make Stu feel good. We know the 1-2 punch, the way last year went, the way the opening round of this year went. Baylor got right in the mix today and might be able to split them. We'll see if he can beat them. This race still isn't over yet.
No, and I believe that towards the end of this lap, there's a bunch of mud holes and spots where Stu is definitely the rider that will bonsai them mud holes if he can see that he's going to get Caleb. So it's definitely going to come down all the way to the finish.
All right, Ricky Towery is there at the finish waiting. Who will be the first rider to get this checkered flag? They're due in less than a minute. Still white flags are flying. These guys got a long way to go. They came within 1 minute of their race being finished, and they're going to go back out there.
Yeah, that's right.
They were really hoping for the black and white checker one.
Nothing worse than that.
Here we go. Oh, nope. I thought it was Caleb. I don't
Yeah,
think
not
so.
quite yet. Fans are gathered here by the finish, and check this out. Will it be a chase through the trees right to the end like it was here a year ago? It was Russell and Duval last time. Could it be Russell and Baylor now? Moose Racing Wild Boar win on the line. Some of these guys are motoring pretty good.
Yeah, these guys are rolling. I just thought that. I'm like, these guys look like they're going real good.
They're actually a couple of XC3 guys.
That's what I thought it was.
I see, okay.
Yeah, which is the hardest bike by far to ride around this sand for sure. So
Jacob Rowland. And
they're obviously young kids, because that wouldn't be me. I'd be dragging my tongue right now.
I think you were pinning it here last year on one of those mopeds, weren't
Yeah,
you?
but I was done at the end. Last lap, I was completely toast. I actually got caught by Wibbly off.
There's
guard
Caleb
there.
Russell.
Oh, wow.
Working his way through a little bit of a different line there. I don't see Baylor behind him.
No, that's it.
Got it.
He's got it. Checkered flag is going to be in sight. Caleb Russell from way back in the pack makes a 2 for 2 in 2018. Caleb Russell, the winner of the Wild Boar GNCC here in Florida. Baylor.
Ben Kelly's taking over the lead.
Wow, okay, Johnny was out in the pits. All right, Baylor coming through.
Baylor.
And we're going to wheel battle to the finish in XC2. Ben Kelly was perched behind Toth for 2 hours and 50 minutes.
How much of a lead?
He's got about probably a 6 or 7 second lead. And
oh, yeah.
I don't know exactly what happened there, but all of a sudden they popped out of the woods, and it was Ben Kelly leading, and a full VP Fuels Pro row behind him was Josh Toth. So those guys at that point, that's the 11.5-mile marker. They're going to make it to the 13, so they got basically a mile and a half to settle this one.
Yeah.
Wow. Duval comes through to take third on that Rockstar Husqvarna. We believe at least third in XC1. We'll have to see how the time adjustment works for these XC2 riders who are absolutely hauling down the stretch. These guys are spent. That was a tough race for everybody when you come and race these sandy conditions. Taylor Jones doesn't look too worse for wear. All right, so good job by Caleb Russell to get another victory and make it again 2 for 2 this year. Be interesting to talk to him and see how much he was managing it. We saw a lot of looking over the shoulder once he got into the lead. I don't know if he just didn't want to push too hard or what his strategy was there. Man, that's earning your paycheck when you come in off of this race.
He looks pretty happy just to be off that dirt bike.
I think so. We'll think about the win later. Yeah, these guys go to the wall, and I know it's always tradition. Now, we don't have the back-to-back weekends after Florida anymore, but usually it would be the very next weekend you guys are racing. Everyone's still feeling it 7 days later.
Well, we are racing next weekend in Georgia.
It used to be a couple of days. It wasn't.
Oh, yeah, we
a
went
whole
to
week.
Tuesday.
Yeah,
The Tuesday break. Yeah. So, yeah, 7 days later, could be feeling it.
Yeah, 7 days later, he's got to be back on the bike. So he's, there you see a smile. He's like, all right,
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and catch my breath here for a minute and realize what I just did. And, a guy that's won as much as him, it almost becomes more of a relief when you get a win than it is an exciting thing. I think he came here with one goal in mind. It looked to be in question there early in the race, but sometimes you just can't question a guy who's won as often and as dominantly as Caleb Russell has. He does what he does, and he put the work in, and it stuck for him today. He was able to pull it out down the stretch.
It's interesting that you mentioned that. I talked to Caleb last year, and he said that he did get stuck in a little bit of a rut like that when he had some mechanical bad luck. Duval started closing in the points, and he started to get to that racing not to lose point instead of racing to win. And that is something I've seen a lot of riders go through when they've got a lot of titles in a row. It becomes something where winning it isn't as enjoyable as the fear of finally being caught and finally losing it. And even Caleb is one of the most mentally tough riders around, admitted that did get to him a little bit. You don't often see that joy as much anymore. It's more of the, okay, I held him off one more time. And we're waiting for an update.
Yeah, and guys, just to jump in, we used to do GNCC on Tuesday.
That's what it was, the short break.
The Alligator on
And
Thursday.
you raced the Alligator.
And we raced Georgia on Sunday. So my goal was always to try to win all three.
Oh, yeah?
I won Florida, I won the Alligator, was winning with about a half mile to go, and Rodney Smith passed me in the last half mile for
in Georgia. You had that.
So I had a 1:12, but that was just a mental goal to see if you could do 3 races.
But how were you feeling at the start of that third?
Here we go.
Georgia?
Sorry, guys. That is Ben Kelly leading the way.
Yeah.
In 62. In the background, I believe that may be Josh Toth, not the next bike coming, but the one after that. So he has really stretched that out now. And Ben Kelly is getting ready to cross the finish line there for his first XC2 win of 2018. It's probably happening right about now. We're not seeing it on camera, but there is Josh. Oh, no, wait a minute. That's Kelly. Who did we see in front of him?
Did you see the shredded jersey or not?
No, I did
I
not.
don't know if we did. Here, I'm going to look and see if
we
it checked in. We didn't see the shredded jersey. That makes it easy to pick out Josh.
Here's Josh coming, isn't it? No, that's not him either.
They have Ben Kelly has come in. Ben Kelly has completed his race. He's got 6 laps in the books. He's taken it. So he is your XC2 winner. Wow, that was a hard-earned one. He basically led 10 minutes of this race.
There's a
The
little
final 10. And there he, oh, wow, what an effort.
You want to talk about somebody who's not ready to celebrate.
Yes, this is absolute everything you had left on the racetrack.
He put it all out there.
That is awesome.
Did Toth come through?
I didn't see
Not
him.
yet.
I saw Little DeLong come through.
Really?
There's Toth right there. Toth just rode up next to him, so there is second place Josh Toth. And now, actually, now both jersey sleeves appear to be gone. And Josh Toth is spent. He's going to have a nap. He's sitting down. Don't blame it. These guys worked hard. Good buddies off the track. Good buddies on the track. But they have taken each other to the wall 2 weekends in a row, or with a weekend off in between. And they are both just, it looks like they're exhausted, and understandably so. Almost going to have to wait and see if we can catch up with Josh Toth and see what exactly on the last lap. Was it fatigue? Did he run into some issues? Or did Ben Kelly just pick the pace up enough that he took Josh Toth somewhere where he wasn't really prepared to go that last lap?
I would fatigue at this point. He looks like he's pretty spent. Looks like he's dehydrated pretty bad.
It definitely sets the stage for a good battle here in just 7 more days. Josh Toth grabbing the win at round 1. Ben Kelly, oh, look at this. Show of sportsmanship here. Hug. They fought it out, but they both know that they've got each other's number. Each of them has come out on top once, and each of them has come out kind of not on top. So now they're going to have the, I guess, the rubber match here in just 7 more days in Aonia Pass in Georgia. And we're going to see if these 2 guys can find their way to the top of the heap in XT2 once again.
And Pascal got back up to 3rd as well in that class, so that's 2 solid rounds for him.
As brutal as it was today, you got to imagine, what if we would have added another 10 or 12 degrees to the temperatures? You know, because typically we deal with those high 80s temperatures here in Florida. Today it was much cooler. So as absolutely devastated as these guys are physically and mentally, you know, if you would have added the heat to it, it would have made it even that much more intense today. So these guys, you can see them slurping the water, and I can assure you one thing that's in the back of these guys' mind right now is already recovery. They know that they've got to do that 7-day turnaround, and they've got to make it stick, so they're ready to go here in just a short, less than a week.
Absolutely. It's a good time to get the protein shakes in and make sure they start recovering immediately right after this race. They
kind of just heard through the grapevine that Strang actually was dealing with a little bit of an illness coming into this one, so we did see him drop off the pace, so the recovery is going to be a huge part for him to try to be ready in a week. I mean, Strang was in the hunt for this one for a while, but that last hour really taxed him. And we'll be ready for this finale. Go ahead.
You're ready for me. All right, guys, down here with the XC1 winner on the day, Caleb Russell. Man, it's back-to-back wins. Are you more happy about the win or more happy to be done with this one?
More happy to be done. This is a brutal race. And it was actually a good job maintaining the track before our race and smoothing it back out with the equipment. And it really made it really raceable. I feel like it was a better track this year, more lines, and you could kind of, you know, it wasn't so squiggly out in the woods like everybody's using the main line, because it just wasn't. It was deep, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't like as brutal as it was, I feel like, the last couple years. But it was a tough day. I got a bad start, bad jump, and me and Thad kind of hooked up, and we just kind of traded crashes. I'd go down and pick my bike up, and he'd go down, and it was one of those races that nothing was going right for me at the beginning, and I got to situate that. I feel like I'm going good, and just a little mental error, and I crashed, bent my shifter today. I watered out my goggles on the first lap, and just dumb little things that, you know, put me at a deficit, and it makes me work a lot harder. And Stu was up there and set sail, but we just kept steady laps, and I felt really good on this side, so I'd always push in the stand and then use the other half of the track to kind of regroup and kind of get back in the flow and then hammer again when we get back over here. But it's a brutal day, and I just got to give it up to the whole FMF KTM team, Dunlop, Scott Goggles, Bell Helmets, Renthal, Cherubies, Motorex, WP, and all the fans out there today. Thank you.
There we go, Caleb Russell, your XC1 champion here in Florida, guys.
All right, thanks a lot, Mikey. So that was pretty cool for Caleb. Like I said, I'd heard the goal coming in. He's trying to manage that energy a little bit better and not have to expend himself. That was everything they had last year when he and Duval went down to the wire. But what helped him, I'd say the weather wasn't quite as extreme as we've had here in Florida in the past as Rodney Tomlin jumps back in, but also he said the track. He really praised the track crew for smoothing the place out a little bit and making it a little bit easier on them. It was brutal, but I think some of these Florida races have been a little bit more brutal.
I agree with you, and as spent as these riders look today, I think that they'll be able to recover out of this one pretty quickly. There was a lot of energy that was expelled in that last lap and a half, especially in that XC2 class. As we take a look at the Wild Boar Top 10, the Rocky Mountain ATBMC leaderboard there, it is Caleb Russell with the overall win, Stu Baylor in second, Thad Duval takes third. Now look at this. Ben Kelly gets fourth place overall. Josh Toth fifth overall from the XC2 Pro-Am. Let's head on back down to the finish line with Mikey Waynes.
Thanks, guys. Down here, Stu Baylor, man. Early lead in this one. You had it for a few laps there. Talk about this Florida round.
Early, few laps. Man, I led the whole thing.
All right, fair enough, the whole thing. But talk to me about what happened out there. By the way, the teeth look great, brother.
I'm surprised they stayed in. I'm thinking about grabbing some pliers and ripping them off. They're just, but no, it was good. I got a very, very good start, which is absolutely surprising for me. I think everybody pinched it too tight. I couldn't see anything. There's some chaos on the inside and ran an outside wide line and hit the woods in third. Quickly made my way to the front, and we stayed there 5 laps, and Caleb just put it to me, and just missed the line like a moron, and I went down, and he gained a lot of time on me, and the front end was tweaked, and it's just, I left everything out there. Once he came by, I tried pushing as hard as I could. It was a little dusty, a little dry, and just couldn't close the gap. We gave it everything, left it all on the track, and we had some good racing. It was the most I've led, I think, in my entire XC1 career, just in one day. So, we led 2.5 hours of the race and felt really good. We know where we need to improve, and we're going to come out swinging.
Well, Stu, man, in round one, it was a third-place finish in the end. Today, it was a second-place finish. It only makes sense for it to be a first place in Georgia, right?
Yeah, definitely. Georgia, the new old Georgia, it's one of my favorite tracks. I've had a lot of really good rides there in the past, and it really suits my riding style. It's only about an hour from the house, so I'm looking forward to it. I know what I need to do, where I need to build, and obviously today it was a good race. I tried not to make the same mistake that I made last race and try to push, and when I was hitting the lappers, I just put it on cruise control. Tried to save it for the end, and I knew Caleb would come. I knew they would come. I knew he would put that last lap charge on, and sure enough he did. And I didn't feel faded all day. I feel like I rode well all day, and luckily Thad gave me a little breather right there at the end so I could cruise it on into the finish because I was tired of pushing.
There you go, guys. Teely Energy Racing's Stu Baylor with the second-place finish today.
Wow, phenomenal ride. And like he said, Jason Wygant, he did lead a majority of this race. And honestly, that's off on the right foot. Last year, if you remember here, he had to come back from the back of the pack, still finished on the podium. Yep. So two different scenarios for him, but still 2 good finishes. And I think once he gets this put together, and we're witnessing, we saw it in the first round, we're seeing it in the second round. Man, talk about the barn burners. We're going to have huge blazes burning here pretty soon. Let's head back down to with Thad Duval and Mikey Waynes.
Well, Thad, man, a third-place finish, but that does not tell the whole story there, man, with some great battles here in round number 2. Walk us through it.
Yeah, just, I don't know, it's one of those days where I gave it everything I had, but just wasn't enough, so I don't know, I'm happy with the way I rode. It was kind of I don't know, I was a little off on suspension, so I just kind of had to ride the bike as best as I could. And, you know, all I could think about was championship. You know, you win a championship on your bad days, and I felt like, I guess third's not bad, but just wasn't the day I was hoping for. I came in really wanting to win. I felt like I was strong, and, you know, I had a lot left at the end. I couldn't push the way I wanted to, and just, yeah, we'll regroup and get to Georgia. You know, I really like Aonia Pass. I've had some really good rides there in the past, so I'm excited to get there and get a win for sure.
So what kind of, do you change up the routine at all with it being a short week in between rounds?
No, just keep working hard. You know, tomorrow do a little recovery and get back to it. And, you know, I'm excited to get to Georgia and race, and then I'm going to head back home for a couple months. So I'm excited to get home and do some training up there and stuff. So just glad to get the day out of the way and, you know, to salvage third on the day I was having. I think I hit the ground like 10 times today. This wasn't the day I was hoping for, but in the end of the day, it was good. I'm healthy. I'm 100% and ready to go for Georgia.
There we go. Rockstar Energy Husqvarna rider Thad Duvall with the third place finish today.
Well, sometimes honesty is the best policy, and he said, this is the day I gave it everything I had, and I just wasn't able to get it done. I mean, still getting on the podium is impressive, but he was right there for about 2 hours. He and Caleb passed each other back and forth several times, but he wasn't able to stick with them all the way to the end, and then wasn't able to get Baylor either. But
so what does that say? I mean, what does that say about Baylor whenever? Because, I mean, you're looking at the fact that traditionally the last few races and last year even, those last few races that we were able to see him, how strong, how close, how tight he was, how he chased Caleb down, how he couldn't follow Caleb around Stu today and couldn't get around Stu. That says a lot for Stu, I think.
Yeah, and Stu didn't look that spent there at the podium. He looked pretty strong and aggressive right down to the end. So impressive run for Stu Baylor from beginning to end. So we'll get ready for a interview. We're going to break down that XC2 battle, and I believe Ben Kelly pushed right through the wall when that one has got to recover down in the speed. Are we ready down there? We're ready with Toth, our second-place finisher at XC2. Take it away, Mikey.
All right, guys, down here with Josh Toth. Josh, man, I don't even know how else to describe it. You and Ben Kelly out there just kind of each other. Your jersey is ripped worse than Ben's was last weekend. Ben came away with the win. You were second behind him. You look exhausted, man.
Yeah, I definitely left it all out there. I had a few really offs, like one at the end of the first lap, and then the one that cost me the win, I think, was on the last lap. I know Ben was closing on me, but I went down hard, and by the time I got up, he was going by me. So it was a hard-fought second.
Well, I'm telling you what, from the spectator standpoint, if this is what we've got in store for all season, thank you. We're here for the ride, man. What's the thought process with the short week ahead?
Yeah, just rest up. I'm feeling pretty beat up now, so a short week, recover, and come back for the win next week.
There you go, man. Go get rehydrated. Josh Toth finishing second today in the XC2.
Wow, what a battle. You can see it right there. Like he said, left it all out on the track, and you can see that he waged war today, man.
Absolutely, and what a great race between he and Kelly, who have been mirroring each other and shadowing each other in pretty much every single way you can, on and off the track, for the last couple of years, and it came down to a great battle all day long between them again.
And I'm sure this is not the last of those battles that we're going to be witnessing throughout the course of this season and likely seasons to come. This is just tip of the iceberg. These could be a couple of the guys that we're talking about, Thad Duvall and Caleb Russell, in just a handful of years.
Well, look, it's pretty obvious when KTM invests in two guys in XC2 and gives them good equipment and is pitting them out of that rig that they're thinking of the future as well. They've got the champion of the series. He's winning title after title, but eventually that's got to end somehow, some way. All good things must end, and they're trying to prime the pump and be ready for the next generation. And good to see these guys coming from other series, other regions coming in. We've had this great influx, a lot of the talent on top now. When you look at Baylor, Duvall, and Caleb Russell, all came out of the GNCC youth ranks. It's good you get the Trevor Bollingers every once in a while who jump in, or Ricky Russell coming all the way from the Pacific Northwest jumping in. We, of course, have our Australians and our international riders also. But now we got these guys coming down from New England and making a name for themselves, too. So all kinds of diffent backgrounds all meeting. And that's kind of the idea. That's the way you want to see the best of the best.
It's the melting pot. It's the GNCC Racing Nation, my friend. Well, I'll tell you, speaking of the future, you were talking about future things. We got tomorrow, we're going to go to RCSX. Tuesday is ATV Supercross, and then we go right back to Georgia next Saturday and Sunday. And right now we're going down to our third place finish here, XC2 Pro-Am class.
Thanks, Rodney. Down here with Pascal Rockenecker. I was so focused on the last name, I messed up the first name. Talk to us about this race, man. I know you've raced 3 GNCCs now, and you've got 3 podiums under your belt.
Yeah, to be honest, was a decent race. I mean, the track is so tough out there. It's so super rough. The first 2 guys did a super good race, and they had a high pace. I messed up my start a little bit and couldn't get the rhythm in the beginning. But then, yeah, in the end, I pushed a little bit too much in the middle, and then in the end got tired. So, yeah, the third is decent again. I mean, I'm happy to be on the podium, and hopefully I can go a step higher the next race.
Coming into this one, did you have much experience with anything like this Florida sand?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of sand in Europe, did a lot of motocross races, but that's all a lot different. The sand here, it's so rooty and so super rough, and then 3 hours, it was a tough one for sure.
All right, well, we'll be back at it in Georgia. That is Pascal Rockenecker of Coastal Racing right there with the 3rd place finish in the XC2.
Well, I'll tell you, Pascal is certainly a good addition to the GNCC Racing Nation. And, you know, I had the opportunity to meet with him down at the Big Buck. Yeah. Talk about a great personality. He has a great personality, and he is so excited to be able to be here and to have the opportunity that he has. And you can see he's trying to pay back to the Coastal guys for giving him this opportunity to be here.
Yeah, and so far so good.
Yeah.
I know he won right out of the blocks first time he raced for them, and he's in championship contention this year, and we have revived. I don't know what kind of medical treatment they needed, but they have pumped some energy back into our XC2 winner. We've got him down at the podium. Here's Ben Kelly. Take it away.
Ben Kelly. Wow, 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 man. A 1st place finish in the XC2 today. Talk about that battle.
I know. I'm just so pumped to finally get my first win. It was just... The day was so brutal. I mean, that track was just insane, and I had a good battle with Josh, like, all day. We were just kind of pushing the pace and probably pushing each other to exhaustion. But, yeah, I felt like I rode really good all day. My FMF Trail Jesters KTM bike was amazing out there, and my WP suspension just couldn't have been better. So just happy to have a smooth race and push it to the finish.
Ben, you called it a good battle. I'm calling it an amazing battle. Are we going to be seeing that between you 2 teammates all season?
I think so. I mean, we live together, train together, pretty much do everything together. We're always pushing each other, practicing, and I think the races are going to be the exact same.
So far, I think the only way we could tell you apart, round 1, it was your jersey. This round, it was Toth, man. Don't rip the jerseys next round. Let's just have a good, clean race, man. Get out there and just keep on doing what you're doing.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
There you go, Ben Kelly with the big win today.
Wow, how refreshed he looked. Talk about recovery. That right there
he looks fine.
Shows you good training, man, because that's part of it, the recovery aspect of it. And as spent as he was at that finish line and how energetic, I'm sure he's still a little tired, but how energetic he was looking there at the podium was pretty nice, no doubt about it. Well, Jason, that's going to wrap up our day today, man. Really appreciate you stopping by. We're going to be working tomorrow at RCSX.
Yep. Oh, we're going to need our XC3 riders also. That's cool.
Okay.
No problem.
Yeah.
All right. FMF XC3 class. That was a good battle. It was Ainsley eventually took the lead. Jason Raines led that for a while. And then Ainsley really started to stretch it out toward the end of that race. Good to see our old buddy Jason Raines doing it again. He rode really well at the Big Buck. And Christopher Vendetti was 3rd for the majority of that one. We'll see if they were able to hang on. Less than a minute before Ainsley would be due in. We're looking at the Moose Racing Wild Boar top 10 results. We mentioned, of course, through that top 5 with Kelly 4th, Toth 5th. Trevor Bollinger in the XC1 class will finish 6th overall. Lane Michaels been pretty solid, jumping up to the big bike this year, 7th overall. Pascal Rockenecker, is that what you're telling me to do? Is that what you're telling me to do, Rodney?
Rockenecker, yes.
Okay. 3rd in XC2, 8th overall. Josh Strang, who I've heard is actually dealing with a bit of an illness. He was strong for 2 hours.
He seemed
something was up down the stretch, ends up salvaging some points with 9th. And Craig DeLong out of XC2 class finishes up in 10th overall. Yeah, so they've really stocked the cupboard here with some young talent in that XC2 division. This is going to be great to watch with Kelly, and we know that at this point, I think it's pretty well established, you're going to see Toth and Kelly battling, but Pascal, you got to figure he's going to learn as the season goes on, and then there's probably some other guy in the class we haven't even thought of yet.
Right.
Who's probably had some bad luck or bike problems that we don't even realize has a ton of talent, and will get to the front.
That's the beauty of rounds 3 and 4 coming up in Georgia. And then, you know, I think that generally, you know, in the past, round 3 has been at Steel Creek, and now round 4 is Steel Creek. But that Georgia and that North Carolina round, man, that really starts to, I think that's when we start to see things start to happen. Then by the time we go to round number 5, I think we got a pretty good idea what we can expect.
Yeah, the tracks start getting more, especially when you get to Steel Creek and you start finally putting in some real elevation change and some tighter sections. It's not the tightest track out there, but it's tighter than what you saw at Big Buck or here today. And then that opens the door for some of those races that have rocks and ups and downs in West Virginia, snowshoes, places like that. So that really starts telling the story.
Speaking of the series, I just want to, I was looking at the schedule. We're going back to High Point, man. That is one of
I know. I know. I can't believe it. Yeah. I might have to find my way up there. I know that we always have the Dave Coombs Vet National up there right around the same time. Someplace going to be prepped and ready. Really, everybody owes it to themselves to hang out there for a weekend to the next weekend and do it all.
Yeah, I agree. That's going to be such a nostalgic weekend. And
yes.
When I first started announcing GNCC, we went through High Point and all those. I went through
Taylortown.
Yeah, all those
Taylortown
down through there, man.
Yep.
And I tell you, man, that's gonna be great. We're gonna get to see. Kind of be like a GNCC Racing Nation homecoming, so to speak. I think we need to have a big potluck dinner or something there.
That's right. Yeah, maybe we need to make it homecoming, get some of the old school names out that used to race that event. I mean, High Point was on the schedule forever. It actually is a sign of how big the series got, where the venues that were no problem hosting a GNCC for, say, the first 20 years of the series start to outgrow them, trying to find the perfect combination of a lot of trail in the woods and a lot of place to fit everybody. We have 10,000 acres here. That's what we need. 10,000 acres.
Well, sounds like we're about ready. We got our top riders in. Jesse Ainsley is in, and he's with Mikey Waynes at the finish.
Hey, guys, down here at Jesse Ainsley. He's getting a last-second, getting the face right? Getting the mud off of there. Jesse Ainsley, man, tell us about this big win here today in the FMF XC3.
Yeah, I finally got it done. It was brutal. Probably one of the most brutal Florida races I've raced for sure. And I've been training really hard this winter, and I got a little taste of leading at Big Buck, and some malfunction with my bike, and ended up costing me the win there. But it's good to get it done finally.
Well, you got a taste. You got a huge taste of it now, man. We're going to see more from you throughout the season of this.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully, I feel like I'm a top contender. Last year I was no top contender in the 258 class, and I knew what I needed to work on. And right now it's paying off, and hopefully we can get more wins.
Good work, my friend. We'll see you on the podium. That is your first place finisher in the FMF XC3.
Well, awesome. Yeah. Man, this kid's, we've been waiting on him to reach this point. This XC3 125 Pro-Am class, I think, is a great stepping stone up to the XC2 250 and the XC1 classes, Jason. Man, it's amazing. We started him out. We farmed him out in the youth program. We moved him up through the amateurs. Then we figured out, hey, we need another step. So I love what GNCC has become. There's no doubt. That's going to wrap things up. We'll be back at Daytona tomorrow and on Tuesday, and then in Georgia on Saturday and Sunday. We'll start around noon tomorrow. I'm Rodney Tomlin. This is Jason Wygant. I want to say thanks to Johnny Gallagher, Jason Thomas for being on hand with us, and, of course, Steve Hatch. And who could forget our own Mikey Waynes. I want to say a special thanks and shout out to him and on behalf of all of us here at Racer TV. I'm Rodney Tomlin. Have a great day, everybody.